Alright, this is Danhausen here, very nice, very evil. You are watching True Heel Heat. Probably should have had MJF do this, but here we are.
It's Saturday morning, and you know what that means. It's time for a little bit of True Heel Heat. What a crazy week in professional wrestling. You had Money in the Bank last weekend. You had AEW, GCW, Impact Wrestling, and Vince McMahon, $12 million in hush pack money. Yeah, we got a lot to discuss here on True Heel Heat 183. Let's hit the intro. Hello. It is me, your True Hill Phenom, SP3. We are live on the True Hill Heat YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook for True Hill Heat 183 Hush Pack Mountain, discussing the latest wrestling news, including more details regarding Vince McMahon paying out $12 million in hush money to 4 different women over the past 16 years, Sasha Banks and Naomi being removed from WWE's Eternal roster, recap of the shows from the week, WWE Money in the Bank, Raw, SmackDown, NXT Great American Bash, AEW Dynamite, Rampage, Impact on Access TV, 2 shows from GCW, and each of the co-hosts here and our special guests will give you their top 5 best matches of the first half of 2022. First up, I have the beautiful, the lovely Miss Krssi Luv.
Good morning, everybody. Happy Saturday. I hope everyone is well. I hope everyone had a wonderful week. What's going on, SP? What's up, guys? How y'all feeling today?
Wonderful.
Happy weekend, everybody.
It's a weekend. We are here for it. And of course, we have with us the face and the ace of the True Hill Heat YouTube channel, the Iron Man himself, Mr. Romeo Anthony Cologne.
Good morning, everybody. SP3. Sometimes you outdo yourselves with these episode name titles.
Intros, right?
Really, the name of the episode. Hushpack Mountain, very nice.
Yes, mountain of evidence for this Hushpack. Absolutely, it just hit me as I'm doing the agenda. I was like, Hushpack Mountain. That's actually really good. And of course, for a big episode, we gotta have a big special guest. We were supposed to have him a few weeks ago, but it's better to have him at all because he is a busy man over on Fightful. You can hear him on Fightful Select for just $5 a month. He does the Weekender podcast covering all of independent wrestling and a lot of the other shows they don't do on the Fightful main channel. Over on the main channel, this man is the co-host of the Spotlight every Thursday with the good brother Jeremy Lambert. He is one of the more knowledgeable people that I know in this wrestling media game. The Spinner Mason to my Jimmy Brooks, the Charlie Conway to my Russ Tyler. He is Stephen Jensen.
Yes, wow, that was a fantastic intro, SP3. Thank you very much. So happy weekend, everybody. Glad to be here. Sorry I missed the other week. I had the COVID, which that was rough for a little while, so I didn't do any shows.
The COVID.
That was the first week I fully took off in a long time. I didn't do any podcasts. I didn't do any appearances. I didn't do nothing for a week. I watched. I'd never seen MTV's Catfish before. I marathon watched that for the entire week.
Oh man!
What?
So we got something else to discuss on our show. We got something else to discuss on our show. You just popped me. You haven't told me this.
I discovered a new show. Yeah, I discovered a new show. So I know it's been around for like 10 years. I just never really had interest in watching it, but I just like I started watching one of the episodes while I like was stuck on my couch, and I was like, you know what, like this is kind of like a comfort show type show. I can tell, like I can, I don't know how much of it is real, how much of it is staged. You know, it seems a little mixed, but some of the reveals are just so funny. Where like it just winds up being someone so different, and then every now and then it's like the person, and those are good episodes too because you're like, oh wow, and actually just wound
this
up
was
being
an actual person. Yes, yeah,
exactly. So anyway, I'm happy to be here. Good to see you again, Krssi. Good to see you
nice
again.
To see you as
Romeo.
well.
Absolutely. Of course, SP3. And if you want to hear more of me and SP3 together, you know, obviously I want to do the Krssi Dudes again very soon. We've been talking about like Nerds of the 90s. Like we want to do more shows together. My schedule is just tough right now, but like it's been on my mind like since we've had to take this break. So you'll hear more of us. But if you want more recent stuff over on the RVD Tito for Life channel, myself, Doug, and SP3 did an episode of Live Rounds. I do that show every Tuesday night at 10 p.m. Eastern. And SP3 was on the show with us last Thursday. He did it from what time was it there for you? Like 3 a.m. to 5 a.m.?
Yeah, 3 a.m. to 5 a.m. here.
Yeah,
because Jensen asked me, there's few people that I will, if I'm not getting paid, that I will stay up that long to do a show with. Jensen is one of them. So definitely go over and check that out. Doug is one of like the OGs of wrestling YouTube. So it was great to finally do a show with him and discuss everything from the week of. So definitely check that out. And Jensen's always over there every Tuesday, 10 p.m. Eastern time, always talking about wrestling as well as combat sports. And trust me, I literally get this comment every week. Whenever we have even a hint of talking about it, CM, one of our favorites from the Degrassi Dude chat, always says, when is my Degrassi Dudes coming back? It's coming back. I've been telling her, like, relax. It's going to come back. We're letting Jensen get used to the shoot job, and then we're going to get on a good schedule with it.
The shoot job.
The shoot job. The shoot job's gotten in the way with a lot of stuff, but it's also been very kind to the bank account. So it's one of those things where, you know, it's working out well. But I will say, I've thought about it. CM, you let me know, because I know you're in a lot of those chats, and I see some others that have thrown out the Degrassi Dudes over here in the chat today. Would y'all be cool with like pre-recorded episodes? Because like if we didn't do it live, we could probably find an hour of the week to do it. So I just don't know if that takes too much out of the show, because people like being there while we're doing it live, and I know they like the watch-alongs and stuff. But like, if y'all are cool with some like pre-recorded episodes, we could probably make that happen at least like semi-regularly. So,
that's better than nothing, guys.
Yeah,
meet them halfway.
Exactly. Meet us halfway. And we can now talk about Catfish. I just have to make sure Jensen has seen the iconic Catfish episodes. Have you seen You Called Me a Fat Kelly Price episode?
I don't think so.
Oh, you got to watch that one. That's
the one you got to. Then that's the first one, guys.
Okay.
Yes, that's one of those. I'll find out the name of the people from the episode.
Message
that's
me.
an iconic episode, and the one where Machine Gun Kelly was the co-host. With
no, I haven't seen that one yet either.
Oh, you have to watch that one too. Hundra.
Okay.
I think the girl's name was Hundra that called them. Yes, definitely go out of your way to watch those two.
I will say some of my favorites that stick out, because I know we're gonna be, you know, listing some favorite matches for today. I'll list out a couple favorite Catfish episodes off the top of the dome. Probably the funniest one. I can't remember the names of the people, but it was but you'll remember it. It was like this dude, what was his name? He was like this nice guy, but he was like in a relationship at the time, and he was messing around with this girl online, and they made him like break up with his girlfriend before they went out to try to find the catfish, because they were like, we feel like Neve and Max were like, we feel bad, like if we're gonna like help pursue this.
I think I know who it is. It's a guy, and he comes out.
Yes, he's like clapping at him. and he's like, "Yep, you finally got me. How you feel?" And he's like, "You can still be my chocolate kiss." And I was like, "What is happening right now?" And
because you know why I know that one is because it's one of my favorite gifts to use. You know what? You got me there. You got me there.
Well, no, yeah, because he's like, so are you gay or are you into women or what? And he's like, well, you're flirting with men online, so I don't know, like, are you confused? And just like, I don't know, you got me there. It's just like
that's where that gif is from.
Yeah,
that's where that gif is from the whole time. Wow.
Yeah, it's so funny.
I always like using that one because I remember
something new today.
So vividly.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And then there was one where this girl was convinced that she was actually in an online relationship with Bow Wow. And I was like,
yes.
Do you think any celebrity is really like? Although there was the one dude from was he from like it wasn't like Nappy Roots, but it was a group like that who actually got catfished.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. He was like the producer or something from Nappy Roots or something like that.
I can't remember.
He did music with them. You have to watch the one where the guy is literally convinced that he is dating Katy Perry online. That's iconic one.
I might have seen that one.
Oh God.
I think I saw that one, but I was like heavily medicated and sick. Well, like that was one that was like a fever dream one where I was probably like half awake.
And this is why our chat owns. We literally got people in the chat. D Pimpin is the one that catfished as Little Bow Wow. D Pimpin.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. That was. He was because it was that one was it was like a trans person, right? It was like someone who was a girl but posing as a guy, and like they tried to find their like music career stuff, and it was like pretty non-existent, right? Like they were saying that they were like in the music game, but then there was another catfish episode that I saw where like the girl actually was talking to like one of like it was like a rap duo of some kind, and they were like Instagram famous, and it actually turned out she actually was talking to the guy the whole time, and like so it's so funny how some of them are like they're complete different people, and then some of them are the actual real people. I like how they mix in a few real ones in there to keep, if it was always someone fake, I'd be like, this is because there's a couple real ones in there. But anyway, I know that's a very random topic for everybody in here today.
It's such a great show. Now we have something else to talk about when Degrassi dudes and nerds of the 90s and whatever we do on Fightful Overbook comes back. Thank you to the live chat for putting out D Pippin because I forgot the name, but I appreciate that. And of course, you can let us know what you thought about this crazy week in professional wrestling in the live chat. Your super chat donations are so important. It helps the channel out so much. We want to thank Vala B with an early super chat donation saying, let's go. Looking forward to this episode of Degrassi Dudes. Oh, wait. Sup, Stephen and the True Hill Heat crew. Yes, this was like an episode of Degrassi Dudes where we're supposed to talk about Degrassi and then me and Jensen go off on something else for like a good 10-15 minutes.
Well, and the crazy thing is now we have even more Degrassi to talk about because I've watched a lot more of like the older, or let's just say the newer episodes that by the time I'd give it up. So we got plenty. I mean, there's 300. Yeah, well, Krssi, there's 385 episodes of this show. So I watched probably half of them as they were airing, and then like went to college and like wasn't watching it.
I never watched the show, friend. Sorry.
Well, that's fair.
Oh
I mean,
God.
that's fair.
You need to open your mind. It's on HBO Max now. You got 385 episodes.
I'm just trying to watch Stranger Things.
Oh, right. I saw that. I was very proud of you. I was very proud of you, Romeo, for seeing that you got up to season 3 of Stranger Things.
Awesome show.
Oh, and also, real quick, Better Call Saul comes back on Monday for like the last few episodes.
Yes, it comes back on Monday. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Ooh, I'm hyped for that one.
Best show on television.
Well, I agree. Yeah, Breaking Bad was like in my top 3 like favorite ever.
Breaking Bad was yep.
Yeah. And then this has been fun. It's been a fun ride. You can tell things are about to get nuts. So
yep.
Yeah.
We also got Negro Buck Nick Jackson says, whole fam, including myself, have COVID. I'm running on less than 3 hours sleep, but even that won't make me miss True Hill Heat. We appreciate that, Nick Jackson. I hope
Feel better,
family,
guys.
Yeah,
Yes.
I hope they're feeling better, get well soon, and that you can get sleep after this True Hill Heat.
Right.
Because we got a lot of to discuss, as well as everything else we're going to discuss throughout this show. Of course, you, my boy Boo, looking out for everybody, saying make sure you show some love, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button if you are new, the bell to stay notified, share it with your friends on all your favorite social media platforms, because there's a lot to discuss. And also Nick Jackson adding D Pimpin with her lambskin dildo. Yes, she had she was like how do you fool people? He was like, I wear a strap on. I wear the strap on, and it's a lambskin dildo, and they don't know the difference. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, I remember the host being like, so what if like things are getting like hot and they grab it, and Pimpin was like usually they don't even notice. Just like what a deep game this person's playing, like pretending to be the opposite sex, luring people in, even out in public wearing. But at the end of the day, I mean, I don't care what people do. I mean, there are people that'll wear things to modify how their body looks. Like, it is what it is. But like, that was just so funny how detailed it got. Like the lambskin and the she was like showing like exactly how to do it like this, and it looks pretty real. It's like, yeah, I mean, you're out there fooling people. You're definitely out there fooling people. You got people thinking you're Bow Wow online. Like, I mean, congratulations.
You look nothing like Bow Wow. You're just short and have short hair. That's about it. But yes, keep those comments coming in the live chat, super chat donations. If you do have a question you want answered, I've seen a couple of questions about the Krssi, a couple of questions about the challenge. Let us know with that super chat donation. Best way for us to divulge into more shenanigans of not wrestling. But yes, we got our True Heel roll call. We want to shout out everyone who's supporting us on social media, the True Hill Heat YouTube channel, and as well as our Patreon. Our top 3 conversation starters on our True Heels Facebook group page. Number 3 was Stewie Palmer this week. Giovanni Cruz was number 2, and number 1 was the Negro Buck Nick Jackson. Of course, Nick Jackson is one of our Patreon backers as well, along with Vala B, who I've seen in the live chat, Alan Weinstein I also seen in the live chat, Alex McCarthy, Professor Chris, Austin K, Slam and Sammy Joe, you, my boy Blue, Yachty, Robert Haynes, Steve Salvage, Antoine, 5th Generation Carney, Beep Boop, DJ Eric, Ladarius Brown, and John, aka WrestleScopes. And let's get into the top news story, because for pretty much every day up until Friday, I was like, oh, it's going to be a very short show. It's just the shows to talk about. and then we can, run down some wrestling news, and then we could talk about, our favorite matches of the first half of the year. And then yesterday morning, Wall Street Journal dropped a new report, and Vince McMahon allegedly agreed to pay over $12 million in hush money to 4 different women, including a former wrestler. On Friday, the Wall Street Journal reported that Vince McMahon allegedly agreed to pay over $12 million in hush money to 4 different women over the last 16 years. The payments were to keep allegations of sexual misconduct and infidelity quiet. According to the report, one of the women was a former wrestler who was paid $7.5 million. She claimed that McMahon coerced McMahon coerced her into giving him oral sex, then demoted her and opted not to renew her contract in 2005. When she refused.
Yeah, you still want that, Krssi? You sure about that, Krssi?
Yeah, nah, I can't. No,
never mind.
And ain't that money in the world if you do some shit like that.
When she refused to do anything, the wrestler and her lawyer met with McMahon in 2018 and negotiated the settlement. In another incident, a WWE contractor sent the company unsolicited nude photos that McMahon allegedly sent her. This woman claimed that McMahon sexually harassed her on the job. According to her 2008 non-disclosure agreement, McMahon agreed to pay her $1 million. Another NDA and payment happened in 2006 when a manager who worked for McMahon for 10 years was paid $1 million after turning him down when he made sexual advances. These 3 incidents are in addition to the former paralegal that McMahon paid $3 million to, which led to the investigation by the WWE Board of Directors. McMahon has not responded to comment. A spokesperson for the WWE's board independent directors declined to comment. Laurinaitis and an attorney representing McMahon didn't respond to a request for comment either. The investigation is being conducted in cooperation with Simpson, Thatcher, and Bartlett LLP. A WWE spokesman told the Wall Street Journal that the company is taking the situation seriously and is cooperating with the investigation. As reported previously, Jerry McDevitt told the Wall Street Journal that WWE did not pay any monies to the former paralegal on her departure. The former paralegal was said to have been brought into WWE as a legal assistant in 2019 without even applying for the job. Sources stated McMahon had met her at Stanford in a Stanford, Connecticut condo building where both were living. According to sources, WWE placed her in the legal department because her resume said she had attended law school. She allegedly talked with colleagues about her close relationship with McMahon often, allegedly so often that her boss in the legal department asked her to stop because it was making people uncomfortable. In 2021, she was transferred from the legal department to talent relations under John Laurinaitis. McMahon allegedly requested for her salary to be raised from $100,000 to $300,000, and the company settled on $200,000. An anonymous email to the WWE board in March alleged that McMahon made the request to give her a raise after they had entered a sexual relationship. The email also alleged that McMahon gave her like a toy to Laurinaitis. Upon publishing the initial story, Fightful Select reports that they were contacted by multiple WWE staff, including some who had remained quiet in the past about McMahon's handling of the situation. One told Fightful they wished they'd spoken out sooner and said that McMahon's response would often go from no selling the whole thing to being defiant. They also said that after Vince McMahon's pointless, they're saying, not mine, but I agree, pointless June 17th appearance on SmackDown, he returned to the gorilla position and shouted, "Fuck him," seemingly in response to the allegations that caused his insistence to appear on television. When the initial Wall Street Journal story emerged, a former talent contacted Fightful and said of at least one major story would come out in the coming weeks, but didn't feel comfortable identifying the story specifically. They confirmed to Fightful that yesterday morning it was tied to the former talent who gained $7.5 million in a settlement. McMahon's behavior was heavily rumored among the writing team based on those that they spoke to, though they didn't hear if elements of coercion and NDAs were well known. One former writer Fightful spoke to said that McMahon's relationships would be a half-joking excuse as to why he'd be late to meetings before TV. Everyone that Fightful spoke with continued to believe that John Laurinaitis was done in the company, but believes he has a golden parachute deal with WWE that will likely take care of him. Female talent had contacted Fightful last year upon his promotion back into talent relations, expressing their frustration. One higher up told Fightful Johnny Ace's ninth life is about to be lost. Around the time of the first Wall Street Journal story, Fightful were quickly told that WWE staff and talent were briefed via memo about the story and investigation, and were not told of any memo reflecting yesterday's story. WWE talent have not been available to speak on record about the allegations and reports, but have spoken with Fightful privately and expressed displeasure and extreme frustration with Vince McMahon's handling of it. WWE then issued the following memo to their employees. The Wall Street Journal has published a second story with expanded details on its initial WWE report last month. We want to reiterate that we and our board of directors take these allegations seriously. We've been cooperating fully with the investigation led by our board of directors and will continue to do so until its conclusion. Please note that upon its conclusion, WWE leadership will make itself available to answer any questions you may have. Thank you. Vince McMahon is currently on hiatus as WWE chairman and CEO, with Stephanie McMahon currently taking over in an interim role. Meanwhile, John Laurinaitis is currently on administrative leave from the company. McMahon has appeared on 3 episodes of Raw and SmackDown total since then, and made a rare public appearance at UFC 276. Netflix then came out and has reportedly divested itself of its planned Vince McMahon docuseries. According to Denise Salcedo, a source at Netflix confirmed that the planned docuseries is no longer listed on their internal spreadsheet. And when asked about it, another Netflix source said, "That shit's out of here." One of the producers refused to comment on the story to confirm or deny. The project is said to have been deep into post-production with millions spent and several talent interviews conducted. The docuseries was announced by Nick Khan in the Q3 2020 earnings call for the company, and the series was scheduled to be released later this year. And then the cherry on top of this all, Vince McMahon was in full business as usual mode during last night's SmackDown, despite the latest allegations against him. According to a new report, PW Insider reports that McMahon was, as usual, 100% responsible for creative of the episode. The site also notes that McMahon arrived at the show later than usual and didn't address the allegations raised in the new Wall Street Journal report that he paid $12 million to 4 different women over the past 16 years. And the situation was described as the proverbial elephant in the room. Stephanie McMahon and Triple H were not present at last night's show, while Bruce Pritchard, who had taken off due to shoulder surgery, was at the taping. Jensen, I know that's a lot to divulge to go to you first, but what was your response of this Wall Street Journal latest report with even more NDAs and money being paid out by Vince McMahon?
Honestly, like, to quote the great Nate Diaz, "I'm not surprised, motherfucker." Like, I mean, it's just, it's very like honestly, I feel like this kind of all flew under the radar for a long time, because I always assumed that this kind of stuff was going on with Vince like forever. Like this, none of this seems surprising at all, because with all the shenanigans they were involved with, especially in like the 90s, and like without any internet and like social media and like a way for like a victim to come forward and like really be able to have their voice heard, you can get away with a lot of stuff. I mean, it isn't just Vince, it's, celebrities and athletes. And I mean, like the pre-social media era, like I think people were able to get away with stuff a lot easier, because there was no way to, because I think, if like, and Krissi's going to be able to speak probably better to this than I could when it comes to this part of it. But like, for a woman to come try to like fight the WWE, like one woman versus this gigantic billion-dollar conglomerate, that's probably something that's like, it's very intimidating. You probably don't want to do it. But if you can get it out on social media and others see it and they're like, oh, like this stuff was happening to me too, and I felt the same way they did. Like if there's power in numbers here, like we actually can band together and do something about this. But like without like the social media, there's no way of those people getting connected. So it's like, now I think a lot of this is happening, and it makes sense, because another thing with the WWE right now they're known. Back then in like the 90s especially, they weren't known as they are now, as like a PG, family friendly, like worldwide brand. And now it's like back in the 90s, people just didn't care at the end of the day, probably like the general public and stuff just didn't care, because it's like, oh, it's just Vince doing what he does. Like just like how, oh, there's all these Epstein's out there just doing what he does. People knew about it, but like, people, now it's become a thing. I'm not comparing Epstein to McMahon directly, but at the point, like there was like these like kind of black sheep out there amongst like these circles, and like people knew about it and just nobody did anything about it. And now it's we
had a president who had an affair and got reelected.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Now, when it comes to Vince's personal life, I'll say I really don't care about like, this is just me personally. I don't really care about like like cheating on his wife and this immorally it's messed up, right? But like at the end of the day, I don't know how people's relationships work. Like I know there are people who have open relationships. I have no idea. Linda might have known about all of this. I mean, I can't imagine this is all a surprise to Linda, Shane, or Stephanie either.
Right.
Like this news coming out,
Right.
Especially if other people in the company like John Laurinaitis are involved, and then Vince used to hang out with the wrestlers a lot back in the day too. He'd go out to the bars with them and party with them in the 80s and stuff. And like, who knows the amount of stuff? I mean, this is probably just like this $12 million is probably just the surface of a much deeper thing going on. So yeah, I mean, I'm happy to hear y'all's thoughts as well about all this, but I think at the end of the day, the crazy thing is Vince I think he's still like the 80% shareholder for the company. So like, he's not going to vote himself out of that position. So like, and nothing he did, I think, was technically illegal. It's just like super highly immoral. And then it gets very, very sketchy when you're the boss and people are getting raises and or fired based on sexual relation with you. That's where I think things could potentially get him for that with something. But I don't know how much of it is technically illegal. And that's part of the problem too, is like, there needs to be like Vince. It's not okay that Vince did all this, right? Like obviously, but like, no. Is there anything that can even be done about it? And like, that's the crazy thing. Vince is living in his own planet. The WWE is their own. They're not even pro wrestling anymore. They're just this big brand. Like they've turned like they're living in their complete own universe. The WWE universe literally is like their own little thing, and Vince isn't going to just. But also this last thing I'll say about it. Seeing him at the UFC, seeing him walking around, him even doing the McAfee show, I feel like a while back, he probably knew something was coming. It feels like Vince is kind of doing like a retirement tour, like getting out there in the public and like getting his voice out there and getting out to UFC events and this stuff. And like, because he kind of, I mean, time's up potentially too for him. Like, I mean, so yeah, it's a lot to unpack. And I just hope at the end of the day that, the people that were hurt by this, that for one, I hope people don't go after them. Like if the names come out, like don't attack the women that are just trying to get some justice. And two, I want to know the truth. Like I want to know what happened. And I also think this is very important in people being able to support the WWE or not. Like if it's found out that Vince did all this and you're still supporting the WWE product, that's on you. I mean, I think that's, but it's if he stays with the company, you would just also have to keep in mind like what you're supporting, because this is your money that's gone into his pocket over all these years that he's using to pay to do this kind of stuff. So anyway, I know I've rambled enough about that, but yeah, y'all go ahead.
You made a lot of good points, especially that last point. It reminds me of something that I read that I believe Trevor Dane put on his Twitter account, where you're going to see a wide spectrum of how fans respond to this. There's going to be the fans like are similar to us that look at all this evidence, this mountain of evidence against Vince McMahon, and we're going to judge him just based on that, not taking into account, everything that he's produced and created. But there's also, there's this older generation of fans that view Vince McMahon as like this person who ruined the wrestling business and took away the wrestling that they fell in love with. Then there's a generation that's closer to our age that Vince McMahon is the person who created all the wrestling that they love. So there's some people outside of like what we're discussing here, where we're just, just basically judging it on what the evidence is telling us. There's the spectrum of the older fans that view Vince McMahon as the stepfather who's trying to take over as the father of the family, and then there's going to be the spectrum of fans that view Vince as their daddy that always loved them and gave them all these great things. So you got to understand that there's like 3 different ways to react to this type of subject and this type of matter. But you 100% are right. I hope that the names don't get out there. People whose initials are BS, don't spread any BS and don't put any information out there. If you did paralegal, please leave these women alone. And we're not going to speculate on who the women are because that's not right, and that is doxing, and that is not ever cool. That is rude 100% of the way. But Miss Krssi Luv, as a woman, what was your reaction to all this news? I know a lot of it you usually wait to hear about it here on the show. So what's your initial reaction here?
Not surprised, to be honest. I mean, we kind of figured that more people would come out after the first one came, but like as Jensen said, this is like kind of like that farewell, like we keep seeing him like hair sprinkled here and there. We don't really need to see him at all. Like you could have just been at the company. You could have just stayed in Connecticut and stayed at the office. We don't really need to see you. But since you have your hand in so many cookie jars, you figure that you should be planted anywhere you want to be, which is not cool. And I really feel sorry for these women that you had to endure this stuff. I don't even think that money is enough for the pain and suffering that they've probably even had to suffer, and the embarrassment also. So with that being said, yeah, when this came out, I wasn't surprised. He's an initial fuckboy. His wife knew about all of this shit. I'm sure the family knew about all of this shit, and they probably tried to cover it all up. But again, one thing about family, that's their family. They can't really get rid of him. I mean, they can, but that's how it is. For us fans, on the other hand, maybe it's something that we're like, we have to now look back and like say, hey, should we even continue to like put our money into this brand, or because of what he has done?
Yeah, it's a very interesting way how fans are gonna respond to this in general. Romeo, how do you think WWE though should respond to these latest allegations against Vince McMahon?
That's a good one.
He should be gone. Capital G, capital O, capital N, capital E. Gone. Retire, fade off into the sunset. Enjoy the
don't even come out no more.
Millions of dollars you have, and go away. I know the stockholders have this belief that it's been reported that like WWE can't survive without Vince McMahon. Like the stock price is going to plummet if Vince McMahon is not involved. I'm here to tell you, WWE would be just fine if Vince McMahon goes away. In fact, it might even be better. It might even be better, especially when you consider who's
we've been saying this for a long time. Yep.
Oh yeah.
Like I don't know why the stockholders have this, like they have all their trust in Vince McMahon. Everything is behind them, behind him. So that's just weird to me that they don't see that there's a way that this company can survive and go forward without Vince.
Well, and even the stockholders, like Vince is like almost 80 years old. Like either way, there's no way that they have to have some sort of faith that there's some sort of backup plan, because like Vince isn't going to live forever either. So like I feel like they have to already. I mean, I think it's pretty clear that Nick Khan is the succession plan. Like I think he's the one who will get the CEO job from Vince whenever. But I think that Vince will try to sell first if they can. Like I think they'll try to get it over to like a Disney or something. But similar to what the UFC did when they sold, the Fertitta brothers got out as owners, but Dana White, who also was an owner, stayed on as the president and signed like a 7-year deal or something like that. I think he stayed even longer, maybe even past that at this point. But he signed like a deal, and there was a part of the deal where the new ownership group, the WME group, would not purchase the UFC unless they were promised that Dana was staying as the president, because they didn't know how to run it without him. And Vince is kind of like that, except he has trained people like Nick Khan, Stephanie McMahon. There are a couple others that Triple H that could, even as a team effort, like the three of them, even they probably could fill Vince's shoes to a degree. The crazy thing with Vince is like he hasn't taken a day off, ever. He doesn't sleep. He lives and breathes this company, and that's where I think it gets hard for him, is like
to let it go.
Yeah, but at the same time, I'm like, man, you could probably sell this thing for like $10 billion to like a Disney or like a, you know what I mean, like to HBO, something, right? Some big company will buy this, and and you could take $10 billion and just go enjoy the rest of your life. You don't have to work every day anymore. You can sleep all you want. I mean, you could even be a consultant to the company to some degree if you wanted. A good example of this is a real quick story, but like my godfather, he was a VP GM for AT&T for like 30 plus years and just recently retired. And because he was so valuable to AT&T and he wasn't doing anything, this authorized retailer called him, a guy who had bought like a franchise of AT&T stores that are like can sell their products, but they aren't AT&T. They called him and was like, hey, can you work for me 10 hours a week and we'll pay you $200,000 a year? I just need your knowledge on what to do. And he was like, yeah, I could do 10 hours a week for $200,000 a year. And like, you know, that's the kind of thing too, where like Vince could also be in a position where it's like, you don't have to be there every day, but like, if they need to call him for something, he can still,
he's available.
He's available. Exactly. So it's like, you know, it's like, I'd prefer if he wasn't involved at all at this point personally.
Yeah.
But at the very least, they do need to move on, whether it's because of this specifically or not. It's clear for a long time they needed to move on and try something different anyways. So like, this is kind of, and also if you're a talent and you're disgruntled with the WWE right now and you've wanted out of your contract, like now is the time to be loud about that. Like squeaky wheel now, like, because now it's like, they're not going to want extra backlash and heat and eyes on them. So I think that if you don't want to be a part of that company or you have problems with that company, now's the time to air the grievances, because now's probably, because we're, you know, Sasha and Naomi, like we're going to talk about that. Now's kind of the perfect time for them to bounce, because the company is probably like, we got enough on our plate, you know, like, okay, whatever, like just, we don't want to be bothered. Like we're dealing with all this over here. So anyways, yeah, dude, there's just so many layers to this whole thing, but yeah,
it is a lot to unpack. Like a lot of people are saying in the chat, we do have a super chat donation here from Bala B. Thank you so much for that one, Bala B. He says, the thing is with Vince, we knew the moment one story came forward, the other stories were going to come forward. I doubt this is all there is. Yeah, 100% that this is just this. The floodgates have opened with the first hush pack, the $3 million hush pack to the paralegal. And now it's just going to keep coming out. It's going to keep overflowing on WWE. If they feel like they are under the water now, it's only going to get deeper the more this goes on. So that is a great comment there from Bala.
Reminds me of that the Sean Watson investigation, how, you know, just kept piling on, like more and more people came forward.
Yeah.
No, it's similar, and in a lot of ways it's similar to the speaking out movement. One person had felt the need to say something, and everybody started coming out with different people and this whole situation. But this is just one person that it's all coming out on. I think that's the difference between this and the speaking out movement. Krssi, I do want to ask, like, can WWE continue to keep Vince McMahon in charge of creative realistically with this new report of the $7.5 million to a former wrestler who, you know, he tried to coerce into sexual favors and they denied him and they were demoted and then subsequently released? Like, how does someone with that under them or that type of allegation still be in charge of creative?
I don't know. Like, and again, I like that you guys have said, like, they feel like Vince just has to be everywhere, has to do everything. And I think they're afraid to say, no, we don't. I think we can do this. You've put people in place that can probably take care of this whole thing and you don't have to be around. So I don't know how they've done it. I think that he should have been removed long time ago. I mean, why do we have so many people like Bruce and all these other guys that are there? Like, if you don't trust them to do the job, Vince doesn't need to be, he can go. Like, you don't have to be creative. Like, it's time for you to leave so that others can probably like figure it out, because what you're doing right now is not, I mean, it's not working for me, but people are still watching the product and it's still, you know, for them.
Yeah. I mean, it's still, that's there's so many like rock and a hard place sides to this, because like the WWE makes more money now than they ever did, you know. Exactly. So it's like, but like they're losing the audience
money,
or but it's a strange thing. I compared Vince to Epstein a little earlier. A better comparison would have been like Weinstein, probably. Now that I was kind of thought about it for a second, it's kind of the same kind of thing where like it's kind of like, oh, you want to get a push on, like you want to push on TV. Okay, well, you do this or that, and then all of a sudden the pay goes up, and then you stop doing it, and you get fired. It's like that's man, it's it's rough. It's not a good look at all.
Like imagine you're a women's wrestler right now in the locker room and you hear all this coming out about your boss. Like, that's awkward.
But you look at the easy targets.
How do you return to that?
Right. You look at the certain girls that might be easy, like Aaliyah or like who knows. Give me another one that's probably like trying to like get their, get on TV more. I don't know, but like it might be really hard for these girls and figure out like if I really want to do this, I'll take this L for right now. Some of them, I mean, I don't know if there is a price for your pride or whatever, but certain people, you can't judge them on like why did they make these decisions.
And I can't I can't even speculate on who or what in the company currently, but the final question to kind of put this all together, I'll ask you first, Jensen. Do you believe that this scandal will lead to the end of Vince McMahon in charge of creative and involved with the WWE in a major way?
I would say I'm 60% sure that and which is very close to 50-50. I'm 60% sure he'll at the very least have a much smaller role in the company going forward. But it's gonna depend. If more names come out and this continues to pile, at a certain point, the shareholders and the wrestlers and everybody involved are gonna have to start. They're going to start saying something about it. I mean, it's going to become a big problem. I mean, right now it's already a big problem. I mean, $12 million, ton of money, but for all we know, this goes deeper into like, $100,000. I mean, $100 million. I mean, Vince made a lot of money in his time. I mean, especially if they wind up finding out that any of this money was coming from the WWE. Like, I think right now we're all kind of assuming it's Vince's personal money, but like, if it's ever found out that he was taking money out of what the WWE's money is to pay people off, then that's even worse. That's a whole other set of problems. He could that's something that he could probably get fired for immediely. So, but that's the whole thing with this is like how much of it is immoral and how much of it is illegal, and what can anyone do about it if he has to vote himself out of his own position? Like that's the I can't see him just voluntarily leaving, but I could see him being like, okay, they know about the 12 million, but like they don't know about this, and this, and like this all.
Right,
so like I need to sell this. I need to sell this right now. Like so and so is interested. They want to give me all this money, and like the other thing too is for like $10 billion. That's such generational wealth that like his whole family is taken care of for all of eternity. Like they never if you're about your family in any way, shape, or form, like take the money. Just take the money and you've done it. Like you accomplished the goal. Like no one in your family will ever have to work ever. You did it. Like you did it. Now you can just go sit on a beach somewhere. Enjoy your life. But there's no way this is the end of it. I mean, there's got to be so much. There's got to be so much more. Like, think about all the people that have worked in that company and how many people could have potentially been infected by this kind of stuff.
Right,
like, man, and Laurinaitis too. I know we just touched on him, but I mean, he's for sure going to be gone. And he's done. And they're gonna give him a big. I think they said golden parachute on Fightful Select, but But that's the truth. They're going to give him a gigantic pay. I mean, they're going to literally do for him what they were doing for these women who are speaking out. Like they're going to give him hush money, essentially, like to not talk about it and to go off and go
off into the sunset. Go spend some time with Mama Bella. Krssi, What about what about you?
Right?
Do you think this scandal is going to be the end of Vince?
I would hope so. I would hope that they were smart enough and like, hey, you know what? We can remove this person from this because he doesn't have to work. You don't need to be there. Everyone is set. Like your whole family, everyone you have. That's why you have businesses. You have boards. You know, the trustees, and have the board that is in charge just in case stuff like this does happen. And with this happening, I feel like more will come out, and I just feel like he just really needs to go sit this out and go and enjoy being grandpa. Like go home, pick up the kids from school. I don't know, but do stuff that you didn't do before.
You got so many grandchildren.
Sit home, right? Just stay home.
He got like
a whole stable.
And take Linda with
8 of them.
Take Linda with you. Y'all go retire. Doesn't need to be.
Oh no, that marriage is done. I don't know about that one. That marriage is done.
I don't know that. Dude,
no,
that marriage
I don't think they're done. I think they're together. They're not going anywhere. They are.
Well, they haven't lived together since 2019. They haven't lived together since 2019.
Together but separated.
Dude, to me, they remind me so much of like Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton back in the 90s.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Yes.
Yeah, like she knows what's up. Like, or at least to some degree, she knows what's up.
She knows what happened. Yes.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm not going to get political
like any
here.
other woman that's been cheated on.
Right. Well, this is all. I mean, like they're tight with Trump and stuff. Like this is a group of people that all know what they're all doing shady stuff, and they all know about it. And once again, I'm not trying to get political with it at all. I'm just saying, like, people in power in general. A lot of these people know about what's going on, and they let it happen. They let it slide, and now, every now and then, they get what's coming to them. I mean, and this just kind of seems like time's up for McMahon in a lot of ways, but also if he want the other side of this, to fight the WWE is such a battle too. Like the money that these women are going to have to spend to fight them in court is going to be, like, who knows, he might even go to court and win somehow. You know what I mean? Then it's like, oh my God, you know what I mean? Like, just because he has more money, like, and that's the sad. I'm not saying because he's innocent. I'm just saying because he's got more money to spend to fight it. So it's it's such a tough thing because he's literally for what you were talking about earlier, SP3. I'm of the generation of got into wrestling in the early 90s. So to me, Vince is basically as close as you get to like a god figure in pro wrestling. He kind of created what modern day wrestling is. So I don't know if I've ever seen something like this happen to someone who I view in that way, where it's like, not only are you the owner of this company, you kind of created all, I mean, it's arguable what, because pro wrestling existed before Vince Jr., obviously, but like what we know as pro wrestling, sports entertainment, the way it's presented nowadays and all that stuff, like that's Vince's vision. And like, and for all these years, I think that it's been a thing where I think a lot of the people in the WWE have kind of a God complex, where Vince felt very untouchable, and he has this aura about him, and it's just these wrestlers just get in these positions, or even like a Triple H or a Stephanie. How do you? I've talked about this on other podcasts, but like, how do you go up to God and tell them they don't have it anymore? You know what I mean? How could you possibly have that conversation? Like, imagine going to whatever God or higher power you actually believe in, like in real life, and thinking like that they just don't know what's best for us anymore. Like they've lost touch with things have changed so much that they're so that they don't even know what their own creation is anymore. So like, how do you even have that conversation? Because he's always gonna have the trump card of being like, I know what this is because I made it. So like my vision is the right vision. Which is how he operates, but it's like, and how do you argue that if you're like a Triple H? It's like that's true, but at the same time, it's like, yes, but your own creation has evolved, and you haven't kept up, and it's that on top of all these allegations. Now it's like let's get some change, in the company, go off and just go off. I mean. And he's rubbing it in everyone's face too. He wasn't on TV. Now he's showing up everywhere. You know, it's a bit, and to go backstage and go, fuck them. You know, that's so arrogant. You know, it's just like, but you know it's true. Like, that's like, yeah, that sounds totally like something Vince would do. So
yeah, like a lot of this is stuff that it doesn't surprise us. And when you hear how Vince is reacting to it, it doesn't surprise you at all. Romeo, what about you? Do you believe the scandal is going to be the end of Vince?
I am surprised he didn't come out on SmackDown. That's progress, right?
No, it's not. It literally the news came out on Wednesday and he decided to come out on SmackDown. If he doesn't come out on Monday on Raw, that's surprising.
No, I mean last night.
No. That the news that came out the first time, it was on Wednesday. So he had 2 days to be like, you know what? I'm gonna show up on SmackDown. It didn't happen the day of SmackDown. So because it happened that day of, maybe he's like, let me think about it. And then if he doesn't show up on Raw, then you can say that's progress.
Gotcha. That Netflix documentary, they spent so much money on that. Just save that footage. Save that footage. Toss it to the side. And then now you start interviewing the other side of it. Now you started giving the other interviews.
Right.
And then you got yourself,
you put the two together.
Got yourself a complete, like you're trying to do a puff piece. Like, get out of here with that shit. Nobody was going to buy that anyways.
You contact Vice and link up and just turn it into a giant Dark Side of the Ring movie.
Right. There we go.
It's funny, Stephen. You know, some of the stuff you were saying, like, you know, some of the biggest names like Hulk Hogan and Ric Flair have also had like falls from grace for things they've done or things they've said.
Yep.
It's like, don't meet your heroes, I guess. I don't know. But like, as far as like Vince going forward, like, I don't know how the board would work. Like, would Vince still keep his vote? Because if he does, then there's nothing to do. If his family still has votes, they're going to side with him. The smart thing to do would be to do something that Vince McMahon has never done, and that's swallow your pride and just walk away before it even gets to that point, before it even gets to a vote. Don't shame yourself with that, and just take the step back and, you know, eat your losses and swallow your pride. But that's not in Vince McMahon's character. We've never seen that in Vince McMahon's character, so I'm going to say nothing changes, and Vince will still be involved somehow, some way.
You know, and you made this real quick. You made the comparison with Deshaun Watson. I think that's kind of a good comparison too, because in the situation of like everyone knows something's going on with that, but nothing has been like 100% proven yet. So they don't know if they can suspend him not or yet. So it's like, you know, so they're in this spot where it's like there's all these allegations. There's got to be some truth to this, but like there isn't enough to suspend him yet. And Vince is kind of in the same kind of boat where it's like, I mean, Deshaun was suspended last season, but like now he's, you know, they're trying to, technically he can play as of right now, but he might not be able to. And Vince is kind of in a similar boat where it's like, there's got to be, where there's smoke, there's fire to some degree. Like there's got to be some truth to this at the absolute least. And at the most, it's all true, which is also very possible. And there could be more, but nothing's been like proven yet. And how much of what gets proven is actually illegal. And that's, you know, and so it's like this gray area of like, well, we don't really know we can't really suspend him yet, but we kind of all feel like it could happen at any moment.
Yeah.
And by the way, like, we're going to transition into the next topic. We should definitely at some point in time get an apology on air from commentary about the unprofessionalism of Vince McMahon. We need that.
No, that's not going to happen.
They did it for Sasha and Naomi.
That's definitely not going to happen because, you know, we're about to get into what we missed. And WWE literally did what they said they never like to do, and that's promote a main event that they don't deliver on. They did that shit last night, so they ain't going to apologize for that. They ain't going to apologize for Vince being unprofessional. But the main thing, what Jensen said that stuck out to me is that when we hear, and Krssi said the same thing, and Romeo said the same thing, when we hear all this stuff, these allegations about Vince, none of us are surprised. I think the thing that will surprise me is if this is the end of Vince in WWE.
Yes.
That's the only way
that's the part,
any of this can surprise me is if it definitely leads to Vince being removed in a major way, and they take that interim's tag off of Stephanie and make her the permanent CEO and chairwoman. And I said that from the very beginning when we talked about that on 2 weeks ago on True Hill Heat. I said that's the move. This was just a thing to make it run smoother when more of this stuff comes out. Now that more of this stuff is out, I think Stephanie is going to be the permanent CEO and chairwoman. But let's
Steven,
get it.
I got the clip for Steven. Hold on, I got the clip for him.
Hey, I'm not surprised, motherfuckers.
There you go. That's exactly what I was talking about. Thank you, Romeo. In this, Stephanie, like personally speaking, I think she'd probably be the best person to take over in that role. I just feel like Nick Khan's been kind of like I feel like they want him to be that guy. And Triple H just kind of got snubbed at the end of the day. Like he looked like he was going to be that guy, and then I just don't know if he is. But
I never thought Triple H would be on the business side. I thought that the thing to do was to put Triple H in Vince's position now of head of creative, because Triple H, I haven't heard anything about Triple H doing any business moves, really. It's always been Stephanie. I thought the move when Vince dies is Triple H will be in the position of head of creative and Stephanie will be in the charge of the business end like she is now. I thought
that's what Triple H wants.
Yeah, you never hear about Triple H doing any type of like business acquisitions for the company.
Yeah, and Shane's just doing his thing somewhere.
he like, peace, y'all. I'm out of here. I gotta buy some J's.
Well, dude, and how much? I mean, that's true. But and this is heavy speculation. This is not. This is me just thinking out loud. But like, honestly, how much of like Shane bailing in that really weird way, and like Stephanie was about to take this hiatus, like did they know that, you know what I mean, that something was about to happen? Like it just makes me think, like when these weird big moves start happening and stuff, it's like, is word kind of out backstage that like, or within the household that like, okay, now's the time to get out before this starts piling down. And now that it's starting to pile on Vince, maybe now they're like, well, the cat's out of the bag, and Stephanie's like, all right, well, the plan was always if something happened to Dad, that I got to be the one to step in and fix it, So it's like, who knows? Who knows?
SB3. What year did Shane McMahon leave originally to go do his other ventures?
That was like 2010, the end of 2009 into 2010. So we it's very interesting, and we'll have more about this whole Vince drama, some more fallout in our news rundown. But let's get into what we missed. Of course, last Saturday we had WWE Money in the Bank. The show had a lot of big moments, but it was mostly about Liv Morgan, who won the women's Money in the Bank ladder match to open the show, and then went on to cash in on Ronda Rousey following her win over Natalya to win the SmackDown Women's Championship. Bobby Lashley beat Theory to win the WWE United States Championship. You also had the Usos defeat Street Profits in an excellent tag team bout to retain the undisputed WWE tag team titles in controversial fashion, as Montez Ford had his shoulder up on the pin. Theory, though, he went on after losing the United States Championship to be added into the main event as a last-minute replacement, a last-minute 8th entrant into the men's Money in the Bank ladder match, and won. So he is now the youngest Money in the Bank winner in WWE history. There's a bunch of fallout from the show. In a post-match interview with Ariel Helwani of BT Sports, Liv Morgan revealed that Ronda Rousey, after that win for the SmackDown Women's Championship, told her, "You deserve it." Liv then went on to call her victory the greatest moment of her life so far, saying, I've worked my whole entire life for this, Ariel. It doesn't feel real to have it in my hands, even though I'm holding it, even though I see it, I feel it. I can't believe it's mine. You You have to kill me to get this out of my hands. This is the greatest moment of my life so far. And then her Ronda Rousey's personal photographer, Michael Mardons, took to his Instagram story with a photo from ringside claiming that Ronda Rousey never wanted or asked to be the SmackDown Women's Champion. He said in a quote, "Respect to Ronda Rousey, who never wanted or asked to be a champion and demanded that the most passionate pro wrestler be rewarded the most prestigious title in our industry, #respect." So he's basically alluding that Ronda Rousey was the one that kind of was the voice backstage to make Liv Morgan this champion. And then per Dave Meltzer of the Wrestling Observer on Wrestling Observer Radio, he said that the current plan is to have Morgan defend her gold against Rousey on July 30th at SummerSlam, and that was made official on SmackDown last night. But just about Liv Morgan here, Krssi Luv, what was your response to the big night for Liv, surprising everyone by winning Money in the Bank and then cashing it? Well, not surprising that she cashed it in the same night, because that's the same goddamn story they've told 5 years straight in WWE. But the big night for Liv, what was your thoughts, Krssi? Krssi?
You're muted.
You're muted.
Again. Krssi, as per usual, muting herself and not being able to unmute. I think
she's going crazy. I don't know what's going on.
I know. You might have to unplug.
I still can't hear you.
Plug it back in. Jensen, what did you think about Liv Morgan's huge night?
Okay, so me and you discussed this a little bit already on Live Round, so I'm going to sound a little bit like a broken record here, but for the audience over here at True Heel Heat, I'll give you my thoughts. That ladder match was ass. That was a terrible match. That was a terrible match. I was not a fan of that. Now Liv winning, good for her, right? Like, people wanted that for a long time. She's got a big fan base. She seems like she loves the wrestling business, loves WWE. Like, I'm happy for her getting that Money in the Bank win. Okay. And then you get to the Ronda thing, and her winning the title, I don't really have so much of an issue with, like, because, like, good for Liv, right? Once again, like, she's being rewarded for her loyalty, and she's gotten over, and she's improved, and she's marketable, and, like, good for her for getting a title. But that was now it's going to hit different for someone like me, someone like Romeo that follows the UFC. Ronda Rousey reacting the way she did was so stupid to me. Like when Ronda would lose in the UFC, she would literally disappear for like entire years at a time.
Oh my God.
Do no media, like would sulk about it. If you brought it up, like if you went up to her in an airport and asked for a picture, like she wouldn't take. She put her like her hoodie over her head and her glasses, her sunglasses on, and like walk past you, and like she does not handle losing well at all. Mm-hmm. Now in real life, if she lobbied for Liv to get the title, that's one thing, and you can take care of that backstage, behind closed doors, you know, woman to woman, and like have that moment backstage. But for me as a fan, it really takes me out of it when I see terrible ladder match to win the title, or sorry, to win the briefcase. This terrible ladder match, and then you beat Ronda in the cheapest way possible as a babyface. Like, you know, like it's the cheapest way possible. Like to come out when she's already hurt right after a match, beat her. But once again, you're happy for Liv because, like, good for her for finally doing it. She deserves some sort of recognition. This is good for her. Happy for her. But then Ronda hugs her, and you're like, Ronda, like, what are you doing?
What's
like,
wrong with you? Yeah.
Like you should have beat the hell out of her for beating you in such a cheap way for the title. Mrs. I hate losing. Like, you will seem very happy to lose that match. Like that, what was that? So, and here's the other side of this. So it's at SummerSlam, you said, SP3, they're going to run that back, Liv Morgan and Ronda Rousey in an actual match. I will give Liv Morgan a 0% chance of retaining the title in that match. Ronda Rousey is
facts.
Ronda Rousey is.
Say it again, friend. Say it again for the people in the back. Say it again.
Ronda Rousey is gonna make Liv Morgan tap so hard they're gonna be able to hear the taps outside of the arena out on the streets. They're gonna be like,
God.
"What's that noise? What's that noise around us? What's that clapping noise we're hearing?" It's
God.
Yeah, it's. So this is going to be a very short-term thing, in my opinion. And so Liv got her night. Good for her. I think that's going right back to Ronda at SummerSlam. Yeah.
Consolation prize for all your hard work. You get to win the title, and then you're gonna lose it to Ronda. I don't think they will do that. I think maybe Romeo's favorite might come back and cost Ronda the matchup. I think that's the only way. And to answer Twan Mac, who says Ronda out here clout chasing off of Liv's popularity, that part is true. But he says now Ronda is here booking shit. She did book a lot of the angles in the Natalya storyline, apparently. and I'm sorry, Twan. I believe Ronda doing something good for Liv Morgan more than WWE after the fucking 7 years that we've seen them book Liv Morgan. It's more realistic that Ronda Rousey was like, give the title to Liv than Vince McMahon would. We just established what Vince McMahon is willing to do for someone who does favors for him, but he ain't willing to do a lot of favors for people who are hardworking like Liv Morgan. Just saying. Krssi Luv, what's your response to Liv Morgan's huge night?
Very exciting. Did not think that she would have been the winner. But that was Money in the Bank wasn't a good night for me. So hey, whatever. Very unpredictable card. Thought that something was so easy. You see it on our roundtable. I did it, me and Ness. You can watch that on our YouTube channel. Gave our prediction and thoughts on the match. Great. I mean, we've seen the women do this. No woman has held the briefcase very long. I think that it's now becoming more of a joke for when the women do Money in the Bank, because it's no seriousness to it at all. Like, Theory's gonna walk around and haunt people and run around with this shit for like how long and be annoying. But yet you have homegirl.
I'm imagining him like popping up from behind a corner and like scaring someone.
Right, just do something stupid, right? You know what I'm saying? But it's like
selfies on people, unsuspecting.
Yes. I'm happy she got her moment after 7 years. Bravo for her. But unfortunately, I agree. Like Jensen, I don't see her having a long reign. I'm sorry, I just do not see it, and it's sad because she's more popular. The people are on her side. The people are behind her. It's kind of like the reverse Becky Lynch, saga of how that happened with Becky. So I'm happy for her, and I'm happy that she's getting this momentum. But I don't think the reign will be very long.
It feels very similar to Nikki ASH, but you brought
Probably
up last year. You brought up Theory. According to Dave Meltzer in the latest edition of the Wrestling Observer newsletter, Theory was always planned the men's Money in the Bank winner. On the success of the show, Fightful Select had a backstage report saying that WWE reportedly circulated internal documents touting the event's success. It was the most viewed Money in the Bank show in WWE history. It reportedly drew the second highest gate in the event's history as well. And lastly, merchandise for the show is said to have increased 95% from last year's Money in the Bank show, which previously was the highest selling in merchandise for the event. And the Wrestling Observer newsletter reports that WWE Money in the Bank had around 9,200 pay-per-view buys, the company's best number since WrestleMania, and that's up 29% from Hell in a Cell. But Romeo, what's your thoughts on Theory becoming Mr. Money in the Bank and kind of denying us of all the cool options we talked about on the preview show last week here? Theory.
We should have got points technically because he wasn't even a part of the match when we made our predictions.
Right. No, you don't get points.
That's fair. See, thank you. See, it's not our fault. We didn't know that. They did that part last minute.
I didn't like the way it was done. Like, losing a U.S. title match, and hey, why don't you go into the Money in the Bank match? Like, Lashley should be pretty upset about that.
Yes.
And Adam Pearce coming out speculating there's another person in the match. I was like, oh shit, is Cody about to come here with one arm and just grab the briefcase and somehow at the end
do some? Yeah.
Like, oh, right. Theory, really? Oh, blue balls the shit out of me. I don't mind them trying to push someone new, push a young star. Theory is a future star, but I gotta tell you, I kind of just see this all going up in flames, and and it's just going to be another notch on the resume of Roman Reigns, who's been on quite the run. He's got everything else on his resume, stacked, pinned, the money in the bank, briefcase holder. Nobody ever overcomes those odds. It's like they're going to put that on Roman's resume.
Yep.
Seems like it. It seems like it 100%. It doesn't seem like Austin Theory is going to win the undisputed WWE Universal Championship. But on more brighter news, you had AEW Dynamite this week. They did 979,000 viewers. The show featured another new champion over there as Wardlow defeated Scorpio Sky in a street fight opener to win the TNT Championship. Jon Moxley defeated Brody King in a hard-hitting main event to retain the interim AEW World Championship. Christian Cage went absolutely ham on Jeff Hardy, bringing up his issues with alcohol in a promo against Matt Hardy. You also had the Jericho Appreciation Society had Ty Conti slam a car door on Ruby Soho's hand to get into Eddie Kingston's head for revenge after Blood and Guts. And also Thunderstorm, my new favorite tag team name, defeated Nyla Rose and Marina Shafir in a fun tag team bout. Jensen, what did you think about Dynamite this week, and what do you think about Wardlow, and is Wardlow enough to turn around the fortune of the TNT Championship?
So I really enjoyed Dynamite this past Wednesday. I was surprised on the spotlight on Thursday morning when me and Jeremy were talking about it. He wasn't that into the episode. But then I found out his check didn't clear from AEW, so if that makes sense. But
that's what happens. That's what happens.
Hey, when keep those checks rolling in, for us to talk about AEW, positively over on Fightful, you gotta sweeten the pot a little bit, TK. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And I'm over here surrounded by. I just got this AEW action figure yesterday. This is the Corazon de Leon, Chris Jericho. Everybody. But yeah, no, I love AEW. Everyone knows that. It's my favorite. So I thought it was a great episode. Wardlow as TNT champion. I think that it was smart for a lot of reasons, like storyline wise, the way they built him, how over he is, all that stuff, all good. But I also think this is the timing of this happening at the same time that they just introduced that All Atlantic Championship. I think the idea there is Pac can have those banger matches on every AEW show, whether it's Rampage, Dark, even Dynamite, or even if you took that on the Indies or something, it'd be cool. Defend it in a few places on the Indies or something. Have it be a real workhorse championship, while Wardlow is kind of doing his thing and probably a mixture between just squashing people and also the occasional real match. And it's a slow build, long-term kind of process for him. He's very good already. It isn't something where he needs a ton of improvement. When he has to do kind of stuff outside of the comfort zone of what we normally see him do, he seems to succeed. On Wednesday, pretty much from the time that he hit that swanton until the finish of the match was he was ultra over. They were ready for him. They wanted the pop for him to win that championship so bad, and he got it done. And I'm glad he did, because I didn't like the Scorpio and Sammy Guevara stuff with them going back and forth with the title. And Scorpio, unfortunately, is in this weird position kind of to not succeed, because he's surrounded by Dan Lambert, who he doesn't fit great with, in my opinion. Ethan Page is getting lost in the mix and sometimes overshadows Scorpio depending on what they're doing. And Scorpio just wasn't in a great spot as the TNT champion to begin with. So I think for Wardlow, it's going to be more about just a destructive title run. And I don't think he's going to lose that title before he gets a title shot, if that makes sense. So he'll stay undefeated with this belt, and eventually maybe it'll be an option C type scenario where he turns in the TNT title for a shot at the world title, because they've already alluded to him and CM Punk, him wanting that match. And I think it's also possible that if MJF comes back and beats CM Punk for that title, that's a really easy in for Wardlow into the world title mix too. To have him feud with MJF, having destroyed him the last time that they wrestled. So yeah, I think it makes all the sense in the world for them to have the title on Wardlow right now.
Yeah, I think you said it right. He's gonna have like a similar run to what Goldberg did with the U.S. title. He's gonna hold it on. He's gonna destroy people until he gets up to the heavyweight championship. You also had last night AEW Rampage. You had Eddie Kingston defeat Takeshita in a great opener. Once again, Takeshita getting over it despite a loss. Later, Eddie Kingston challenged Chris Jericho to a barbed wire death match at Fyter Fest Week 2 on July 20th during Shark Week. So Jericho Appreciation Society will be locked in a shark cage. Orange Cassidy beat Tony Nese in a fun opener. Serena Deeb and Mercedes Martinez picked up another tag team win, but Deeb turned on Martinez post-match to stake her claim for the ROH Women's World Championship. Jonathan Gresham turned on Lee Moriarty. Yeah, Jonathan Gresham turned on Lee Moriarty, allowing him to lose to the Gates of Agony, and he joined up with Tully Blanchard Enterprises. Now it's going to be Jonathan Gresham versus Lee Moriarty next week on AEW Rampage for the ROH World Championship. Romeo, I know you were down on what happened on Dynamite this week. He didn't get his check either, Jensen. And but what do you think about Rampage kind of being used as part AEW, part ROH to build to Death Before Dishonor?
I mean, it's nice to like build up ROH Death Before Dishonor, but how many people are watching this? You know, the ratings are what, half of Dynamite at least. So you're gonna have to get some of that stuff on Dynamite. But like the Eddie Kingston Jericho news, I'm glad that's the kind of match. Because I was one of those guys, I was wondering, what are they going to do next? They got to set each other on fire. Something's got to be an inferno match. Like, how do you top blood and guts? But it's a barbed wire death match. Okay, the shark cage stuff, that's a little distracting. Like, that could be very distracting from the actual match. What was that match that Jericho was in a shark cage? You remember?
Roman Reigns versus Kevin Owens at Royal Rumble 2017. I think it's just Jericho loves shark cages. That's what I took it as.
And Jericho stole all the attention in that match, just in the shark cage.
No, that match was
hilarious.
Awesome. That match was freaking awesome.
I remember Jericho and his facial expressions the most out of that match.
You just love looking at Jericho's face. That's what I take that as.
Hey, Corazón de León.
Probably so.
You can see Jericho's young face here. Look at that guy.
Oh, we gotta put him full screen.
Look at that. The lion heart. The lion heart.
Lion heart.
Take it out of the package.
This one's staying in. I normally do though. Like I wish you could see my wall over here. I can't move my camera, but yeah, I mean I got a ton of AEW action figures. Most of them are out of the box. I buy some doubles for like ones that I think are going to be valuable later on. Keep them in the box. Put them in a little box. Throw them in my closet and just sell them later on. Anyways, yes.
We got a super chat donation here from Chase Oliver, who says Christian finally gave Luchasaurus some meat. Some friend Jungle Boy was just giving our boy leaves and forcing him to be. Great super chat. Great super chat. Great super chat donation there, Chase. I love this. We're really going all the way in with Christian controlling a dinosaur.
Christian is the must-see part of Dynamite every week. I love how now they're just promoting. We hear from Christian and Luchasaurus. Every week it's going to be that. We hear from him. He has,
and it's just going to be like, what type of fucked up shit is he going to say this week?
Yeah. He's going to eventually have to dig up Luke Perry's grave at something. Like he's going to, what's going to go on?
No, the best idea I saw was him coming out to the 90210 theme. That would be.
If he comes out to that? That what you said?
That would be epic.
Oh my God, do it. No, that'd be so good. That would be great.
Or have Mikey Ruckus do a remix version of it.
Yeah, I mean, we're tuning in to see what kind of fucked up shit Christian's gonna say this week.
Absolutely, and also Chase adds that top 5 AEW figure in your opinion. What is it?
Oh man, I mean, this would take way too much time, but I'm just looking over at my wall of AEW figures over here. I really like the Sting figure. There's a regular Sting and there's another one, like a Luminary, a Walmart exclusive that has Sting's face paint, half Sting, half Darby. I like that one a lot as well. So
do you have a bloody Britt Baker?
I do not. I have the bloody Cody and Dustin though.
That's good.
But I do want that Brit at some point. I also want there's a bloody Moxley and Kenny from their exploding match or whatever.
Oh, nice.
I really like the TNT. I really like the TNT title Cody Rhodes. And there's so many good ones. I also like, I'm a big Cody mark, obviously. I like his LJN style figure too, just because it's like a throwback.
Oh yeah, I wore this for you, Jensen. I wore this for you.
Appreciate that.
I wore this just for you. And to answer this one from Twan Max saying, originally it was Santana and Ortiz having beef with Jericho. Then they switched gears to it being about Jericho and Kingston, huh? It was always about Jericho and Kingston, actually. Yeah. That's the reason why Santana and Ortiz had beef with Jericho, because they're longtime friends with Eddie Kingston. It was Jericho's issues with Kingston caused the rift between Santana and Ortiz and Jericho. But I'm just stating what they put out there.
I still gotta get that.
If you were more involved in the Santana and Ortiz versus Jericho feud, you're totally
shame on you.
You're totally that's totally fine. But it was originally Kingston and Jericho the whole time.
Yes. And also throw out just real quick, the Luchasaurus figure and the Orange Cassidy figures also would be on my list. Those are both really, really, really well
good
done.
Luchasaurus. Now you get the evil one.
Can the Orange Cassidy one put his hands in his pocket?
Yeah, he can. Yeah, he comes with the denim, and like the way I have him displayed is like he comes with the little thumbs up too. So I have one hand in the pocket, one with the little thumbs up. And I just ordered Best Friends in Chris Statlander too, so I'm gonna have all of them lined up together. So
nice.
Stable. Yep. Also, last night, besides Rampage, was WWE SmackDown. I'm sorry, Miss Krssi Luv. This must have been a hard episode for you to get through. Roman Reigns made his return to the show with Paul Heyman cutting his usual spectacular promo to hype up Roman's last match with Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam. But it's a lot.
Great.
Been there, done that. You also had Theory haunting him, as Krssi Luv said earlier. Drew McIntyre was supposed to face Sheamus the entire show, and then they just randomly, Sheamus said he had COVID. He faked having COVID. Yes, they legitimately said that. And then Butch replaced him and had a 2-minute match where Drew McIntyre beat him. He then beat up Ridge Holland, and then Sheamus stood eye to eye with Drew McIntyre, and Drew McIntyre had his sword and looked like he was going to cut Sheamus' head off until he jumped off the apron, and then Drew cut the top rope and the explosion went off. This was one of the worst endings to SmackDown I have ever seen in my life. Lacey Evans turned heel on the fans and hit her tag team partner Aaliyah with the woman's right. I love this. I like them listening to the fans and realizing that Lacey Evans is a heel. And then Ronda Rousey defeated Natalya with an ankle lock and set up her rematch against Liv Morgan for SummerSlam. And of course, we had our juices of our guilty pleasures titillated.
This was the best part of the damn show.
What the fuck is this?
This was the best part of the show. I'm telling
Johnson, you haven't sent in your application? You haven't sent in your application?
I legitimately have no idea what any of this is. Okay, please explain.
I saw SP3. I saw
you guys should definitely send in his resume so that you guys can have, so we can have the juices titillated for you guys. Really got to do it.
You need Krssi Luv to be like the person who goes through the applications. No, it's the former LA Knight, aka Eli Drake. He's now Max Dupree. And he has a male modeling agency called Maximum Male Models. And the first 2 weeks of their act have been the former Mace of Retribution, who is now Mache, and he's now a male model as well as Mansoor, who is now Mansoor.
Yeah,
and
so
this week
Steven,
we had their tennis collection.
If Steven sent in his application, he could be Stefan Jensen.
Stefan Jensen, that's great.
Stefan, yeah, dude, that just okay.
My face hurts so bad.
Wow. I mean, like who, like, I know that there's like an 80-year-old man who like has the final decision, but like, who thinks this is gonna work out well for anyone involved in that? Like, that's just, I'm so disconnected from the WWE product. I watch it once a month on pay-per-view, and outside of that, unless I know Cody's gonna be doing something like that, I need to go to my way to watch that. I had no idea about all that.
Oh, man.
Man, what a run that guy's had. What a run that guy's had, by the way. He was like a Dio Madden. He was like a commentator for a couple weeks. Brock just like destroyed him 1 week, and then he disappeared, and then he was Mace. And now this is what he's got. So good luck.
Hey,
good luck with that.
This is better than Retribution, to be fair.
Yes,
well, to be fair, everything.
Is asking, is Krssi okay? Are you okay, Krssi?
I'm
crying.
And to be fair, Retribution like is arguably the worst story they've ever done. So like, it can only go up from there.
Yes, it is. It really is, though. Yes.
I feel so bad for Donovan Dijak. Like that that's what his run was. How's he doing, by the way? Is he doing anything now, or
doing nothing? He was
still called T-Bar.
Yes, he's still T-Bar,
Wow.
even though Retribution is not around. But speaking of Raw, which T-Bar is still, I think, still a member of, they did 1.563 million viewers. The show featured the fallout from Money in the Bank, with Theory challenging Bobby Lashley to a rematch for the U.S. title at SummerSlam, and then he lost to Lashley and the Street Profits in a 6-man tag with Alpha Academy. Meanwhile, SmackDown Women's Champion Liv Morgan teamed with Raw Women's Champion Bianca Belair to defeat Natalya and Carmella. You also had Becky Lynch defeat Asuka in a no-holds-barred main event. Really good matchup, as per usual, with those two ladies. Otis threw up as well after doing a hot dog eating contest with Angelo Dawkins. I had to mention that because I see it in the back end. You also had Miz and Ciampa formed a partnership as they beat up AJ Styles. So it seems to be teasing that we're going to do AJ Styles and Logan Paul versus Miz and Ciampa, maybe, possibly. And also Seth Rollins defeated Ezekiel, and then after the match, Riddle delivered RKO to Seth Rollins. So we might get those two at SummerSlam as well. But that's not the only big event coming up or that happened this week. WWE NXT 2.0 Great American Bash, Romeo's favorite show of the week, did 593,000 viewers. The show featured Braun Breaker beating Cameron Grimes to retain the NXT Championship. Post-match, JD McDonough re-debuted to attack Breaker and lay him out with the Devlin side through a picnic table. You also had Carmelo Hayes defeat Grayson Waller in a pretty good matchup to retain the NXT North American Championship, and Roxanne Perez and Cora Jade beat Toxic Attraction to become the new NXT Women's Tag Team Champions. What was your thoughts on the Great American Bash, Romeo?
Kind of mid. But
I'd say that's the best way to describe it, because I felt like the first hour was awful, and then the second hour was good. It was good. So
listen, when one of my co-hosts on the watch along, one doesn't even show up, and the other one dips before the show's over, it was the Great American Nap. It was the Great American Nap.
Damn, I'm sorry, friend. I am so sorry for you.
That's usually what happens on the 4th of July, though. The Great American Nap.
Well, yeah.
It was the 5th of July.
It was. That was a Tuesday.
That's true.
I'll say I like JD McDonough debuting. He and Braun should be all right. And Cameron Grimes, I mean, there's nothing left for him to do in NXT. I'd like to see him on the main roster now. I mean, I know you got to say your prayers when you want to see someone on the main roster, but you know, hopefully they do right by him. He's one of my faves.
you, my boy Blue, put it, mid-American trash.
That sounds about right.
That's actually very accurate. But Amazing Tribe says it was okay. So yeah, mid okay. I think those are around the same kind of rating. But GCW had a couple of great shows. We talked about their first two shows of the weekend last week. They also had a Rock and Roll Forever from Evansville. You had Blake Christian defeat Shane Mercer to continue his winning streak on his way to a GCW World Championship matchup. The Second Gear Crew beat Alex Colon, Akira, and Dale Patricks in a crazy 6-man tag. Just watch it from Matthew Justice doing a dive out of the freaking balcony. Cole Radrick beat Joey Janela in one of his biggest wins yet, and Rock and Roll Express defeated the Rejects in the main event. You also had the Backyard Wrestling 4, which was just complete and utter shenanigans. I've only watched halfway through that, but the 4-on-4 tag is what I would say you have to watch, with the Cambodian warrior Yoya going crazy on people, and one called Manders hitting people with corn. That was pleasant. What stood out for you with these two shows? I know you're a big GCW fan, Jensen.
Yeah, no, I mean, those backyard wrestling shows are a lot of fun, especially if you don't go into it like taking it too serious, because like that's kind of the whole point, is like seeing people do stuff off like trampolines and into like above ground swimming pools and stuff like that. Like, you know, so yeah, I mean, it was funny that they did Joey Janela versus Donnie Janela, because that's been a long time coming. I used to watch Donnie Janela back when he was known as Donnie Primetime, and when Joey Janela pretty much like went to AEW and was taking less indie bookings, he started doing the whole Donnie Janela gimmick, which was kind of funny because so my brother, I talk about my brother a lot, and like I always talk about how my brother isn't a wrestling fan. He never watches wrestling by himself, but because he's around me so often, he sees such a variety of it, and he actually knows a lot more than like an average wrestling fan does, just because he's around me so much. And it was so funny because my brother saw Joey Janela for the first time like a few months back, and my brother thought he was ripping off Donnie Janela because he had seen Donnie Janela so many times watching IWTV with me that he was like, oh wait, the guy that we've been watching, he's the ripoff of this guy. Like he didn't know, he had seen it backwards, which I just think is so funny. And then, you know, I talk about Cole Radrick all the time. He's another guy I've been a fan of for probably 5 years or so, and he's probably the most improved wrestler I've seen over that time span. Like, he's doing great stuff in GCW. He got hurt the other weekend, and you know that was, you know, he had to go to the hospital. Him and Hoodfoot both wound up. Hoodfoot got it worse. Like, he wound up with like
we talked about that Hoodfoot with the light tube. That was crazy.
Yeah,
how that blood was gushing out of.
Yeah, horrible. That's rough. And I'm a big Hoodfoot fan. I'm a big Cole Radrick fan. I never want to see those guys getting hurt. You know, it's, you know, I just want them to be safe, you know, have long, prosperous, you know, make your money, have a good career. You know what I mean? Like, and Cole's such a good kid. Like, I've had the opportunity to talk to him a handful of times, and he's a guy I always try to link up with if I'm at a GCW show. Like, I'm such a fan. For him to get a win over Joey Janela is very big for him, because one of the things he always was telling me was, he's like, man, I love doing these scrambles. I love that I got a spot on the show. I love that I'm you know, over with the crowd. But he wanted more singles matches to like really show what he can do, and he's been getting that more lately. I mean, even getting one-on-one matches with like Alex Colon, the ultraviolent champion, and stuff like that. Like, who he has a pinfall win over technically as well. So Cole's doing really, really good stuff. I'm a very big fan. And then the last thing I'll mention is Blake Christian. His rise has been fun to watch, and with like his new look, kind of a new attitude. I still don't see him beating Mox for the title, but he's one. But he's way. I really, and I don't want to get into this for a variety of reasons, but I really felt like that everything was heading towards AJ Gray winning that championship. And then for a variety of reasons, that didn't happen. And now they're trying to figure out the best person to succeed Mox, because they are. I mean, here's the thing: as long as you have access to Mox, I'm fine with him being the GCW champion for a long time. But the only problem with him is that he's not there that often. And years back, especially as I became more and more of a fan of the company, it was I really got into it during the reign of Nick Gage, where he was defending the title, like it felt like on every show, and he had the belt for like 2 years straight, and it was like it may have been even longer than that. He had the belt for like forever, and you got used to seeing GCW title matches often on these shows, and it was a big deal. And it's just one of those things where like I don't know who the best person to beat Mox is, and Blake Christian might be the best option. He legitimately might be, but I don't know. Personally speaking, I would keep the belt on Mox over Blake Christian personally. Just I don't know what it is.
I think this might be like the first match of maybe like 2 or 3, and then you can have him lose this first one, and it might make him a better contender to beat Mox the next time.
Yeah, I can see that too. I mean, someone else that I think kind of is kind of like a dark horse right now in that mix, that given the right push, I could see Jordan Oliver going all the way potentially. Because if he could get some more quality, because he's been winning more recently, and I can see, because he's also quote unquote kind of more of like a homegrown GCW guy. He's been wrestling since he was like a teenager there though, but like most of his main exposure has been through GCW, and he's getting he's getting into his 20s now. He's starting to fill out a little bit more. Kind of his big knock was always like that he was like lanky and skinny, and like he hadn't like filled out his body yet. Kind of the same thing that like Nick Wayne is going through currently, just because he's like a literal teenager. Like Jordan's starting to kind of put it all together, and I could see him maybe being the guy potentially as well, depending on how long Mox is going to hold that belt for. But yeah, GCW's got great stuff going on, and luckily for them, they have a lot of interesting titles. Like they got the Ultraviolent Championship that they can put out there. The SGC can keep doing these like the combinations of different tag team matches and a whole bunch. I mean, they got plenty of stuff they can do, but it would be nice to see a GCW champion that's there more often than Mox is. But at the same time, if you're GCW, I don't blame you at all for wanting that title on Mox if you have access to him. I mean, the ice he brings into the company is stuff they've never seen before. So
facts. And then finally, you had Impact on Access TV. They had Mia Yim defeat Deonna Purrazzo in the main event to earn a shot at Jordan Grace for the Impact Knockouts World Championship at Emergence on August 12th. And they had the debut of Alan Angels, former AEW star, in a very good matchup, coming up short to X Division champion Speedball Mike Bailey. But that brings us into our news rundown, and we got someone popping in at a wedding, joining us, a familiar face as per usual, the Brock Lesnar of the True Hill Heat podcast, Mr. Top Guy JJ, looking good, looking sharp, gentlemen.
What it do, fellas? What it do, peoples? What's up, True family? I can't see the chat currently because I know I just popped out for a couple minutes. Just sort of bride and the groom do their thing. But I was like,
looking dapper,
looking very dapper, very dapper.
Appreciate it.
We got some news that you might want to hear about, because you've been someone who has said your thoughts on the whole Sasha Banks and Naomi saga, and we got our latest update. PW
come on, we want this guy cursing at a wedding. We want him to curse at a wedding.
Yes, absolutely. PW Insider reports that Sasha Banks and Naomi have been removed from the internal roster in WWE this past week. WWE has not confirmed that the two have been released in the company, but until now they were included on the internal list of talent. There have also been rumblings that Banks is set to do signings outside of WWE in the fall, but no official word yet. Fightful Select reports they learned that both stars had disappeared from other internal rosters as far back as weeks ago. However, nobody that they spoke to from WWE's digital team have been instructed to remove the talent from the website. As Wiley noted, there was an instance in which a fan side touting Sasha was was edited out of images for SmackDown previously. She was also edited out of the 2017 return of Paige in a new top 10 video after Paige had officially left the company. The Fightful report also goes on to state that according to WWE sources, WWE Creative is operative on the assumption that Naomi and Sasha Banks aren't returning whatsoever. One member of the creative team said they have not heard of any contingency plans or creative prepared in the event that things come together. Top Guy JJ, will ask you first, what do you think about this latest update on Sasha and Naomi?
They trying to hold off as long as possible before these bastards can actually let them go. You know, this is just like a game of chess or a game of checkers, whichever you want to call it, of how long can they hold them off before letting them go to another company and really thrive and draw numbers somewhere else. That's all this is. This is a game of hold 'em. You know, we're playing our cards. We're holding them as long as possible. We're going to drag this out as long as we can. If we can keep them off any other program until 2023, great. If not, damn. Because if they're able to get something going on by like Full Gear or something like that, that would be pretty epic. But all I see from here is the WWE is just trying to hold people. They're just trying to hold them down. They're just trying to hold them as long as possible. Not much to it, but it's obvious. It's just like a game of hold them again. But this is classic WWE shit. They did the same thing with Pac. They did the exact same thing with him. They tried to do it with Aleister Black, but they didn't even realize that they screwed up their own contract negotiations. So, like they try to do this with these big talents because they know what they're about to do. But this is really not uncommon from this place. They're just trying to hold two of the biggest women stars off TV for as long as they could.
Yeah, trying to hold on to them, put the vice grip on them. Miss Krssi Luv, aren't you happy to see Dapper Guy JJ?
Hello, you look so you look so handsome. Where are you going?
I'm at a wedding right now. I'm at a very early wedding.
And you're on, but why are you with us then, friend? Go enjoy the weather and drink.
Everyone's eating. I had like 4 mimosas already.
Nice.
I mean, listen, that's my type of wedding, friend. I can't, The
place is literally like 100 yards from me, so I just wanted to come out, get some air before we go and turn up for 2 hours. But yeah, I just wanted to come on and say what's up to the guys, to see what's good with the gang, and get back to business.
I can tell the couple is a lovely couple because this is the time to do weddings. Like right now, don't be one of those couples that schedules a wedding during football Saturday, football Sunday. Those people are the worst. The worst.
Facts. It looks real nice out there, JJ.
It's so beautiful. And the fact that honestly, I don't feel like I'm in New York right now. I literally don't feel like I'm in New York right now. This place is freaking amazing. Like, I'm just saying, like, if you ever, some future people that's getting married, the Stone House might be where it's at because this place is popping.
There you go.
You hear that, SB3?
And we would be, yeah, I know. I know. You didn't have to throw that out there to me. We would be remiss before we let JJ go. What is your opinion on the Vince McMahon drama of the latest allegations? 4 more incidents where he's paid out $12 million, including one wrestler where he paid $7.5 million. And then when they refused his sexual advances, he demoted them and didn't renew their contract in 2005.
Why are you laughing?
He gave a wrestler a football contract, bro.
Only JJ would say something like that.
He got 7.5 guaranteed.
Right, exactly.
7.5
Rock and Roman money.
Like, it's amazing to me that people or anyone in that matter would be surprised by more of these findings. There's gonna be more. The more they dig, they're gonna keep finding more. We're up to 12 now. Next week we'll probably be up to 17. Then the following week we'll be up to 25. Like, we're gonna see how much misused money he had with all these allegations, with all these women. Him and Linda's a political relationship. They're not a relationship. Yeah. This is all political. There's no love there. There's no I care for you or you're my man, you're my woman. There's none of that. They are there for namesake and for appearances. Other than that, he is slinging his money and slinging his dick to whoever he can.
That's
very true.
There's not much more to put to it because it's not surprising. Honestly, it's not really surprising at all. Like we're just gonna keep finding more. So how we went from 3 million 2 weeks ago to 12.
Yeah, that 12 is on top of the 3 million. So we're at 15 million.
15.
Yes, we're at 15 million
in a matter of 2 weeks.
Yep.
I'll tell you what, that Vince and Shane match from WrestleMania with Linda in the wheelchair, that match hits a lot differently now watching it.
Yeah. Wow.
Yo, all you gotta pay attention to is his interactions on TV with Candace. All his interactions with Candace Michelle on TV and see how real all of that stuff was.
You know what?
Sid, that's going to be rough watching back on True Rewind whenever we get to those years.
Oh, man. Oh, Jesus. That's the end. At least that's the end of our True Rewind journey because that's towards the end of the Monday Night Wars. But, JJ, everybody's telling you to go cut a rug and have a good dance at the wedding. Please let the people know where they can find you, sir.
I'm trying to explain it. The rug has already been cut. The first dance has already been had. The couple's dance already took place.
Everybody almost over then.
Everybody
it's over.
No, it's not. It's not. There's like the dance floor part. There's like the last meal part.
So you got like 2 more hours basically.
Yeah, it's like 2 hours left.
Okay.
That's
actually a good. But I had to get up early Saturday morning though.
I'm on good timing.
There you go, people. Stop trying to kick them out. But
that's no appearances anyway. That's why I'm out here. That's why I'm over here like once a month anyway.
we appreciate your Brock Lesnar schedule. We appreciate it.
Oh yeah, whenever I can and get paid for it.
and speaking of the Vince McMahon drama, though, we have another news rundown here. A new SEC filing made on Wednesday reveals that Connor Schell is stepping down from his role on the WWE Board of Directors. He cited an increased slate of responsibilities resulting from his new expanded role at the newly formed the North Road Company as the reason why he's stepping down. But I think Jensen alluded to it earlier. Do y'all really think that's the reason? Because I think the reason is they knew this more information was coming out.
Fall guy number 3. Fall guy.
No. I don't think he's the fall guy. I think he jumped the fuck off the ship.
He wanted to get off the ship. He jumped sinking. That's what. Yeah.
Okay, so
he jumped off.
That said, I'm out. He's one of the I'm out.
Yeah. Like before this whole thing comes burning down, like I'm gonna get off this.
Ride. Yeah.
I'll get another job. Just a big cloud over my head. Nice.
He's like, I'm out, y'all. Peace.
Do you remember the scene in Titanic when they say women and children only, and that guy comes out, please, I have a daughter, please, and then he just skips everybody?
I'm about to douche, y'all. So it's been real. I'm about to go finish turn up.
Enjoy.
I got another hostess waiting for me, so I'm gonna go do the thing, and turn up.
You definitely are part of Wedding Crashers.
Top guys and Wedding Crashers too. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
He's the Black Vince Vaughn. We'll see you, Top Guy.
See you, man.
Bye, peace.
Later. Good pop in from Top Guy JJ there. But other news rundown with WWE. You guys can stop me if you want to discuss it. PW Insider reports that Bayley was at the WWE Performance Center this week, training for her return. She has been out of action for a year. As of today, it's been a year since she torn her ACL and is due to return anytime soon. Also, one of the big news of the week, speaking of SmackDown stars, SmackDown broadcaster and part-time wrestler Pat McAfee will be staying under the WWE banner for the foreseeable future. WWE announced on Thursday via an official press release that the former NFL player has signed a multi-year extension with WWE. WrestleVotes reported that the deal was said to have been signed a few weeks back, and the report goes on to say that WWE is well aware of what they have in McAfee and were steadfast on making sure they keep him around. Romeo, do you think McAfee is one of the best signings WWE has made as of late?
Absolutely. I think even Michael Cole will tell you that he's reinvigorated Michael Cole on commentary. Good for my boy Pat. He's making 2 bags. He's got a bag from WWE. He's got a bag from ESPN. He is picking up everyone's check at dinner. Everyone's.
Absolutely. I love that part. Yep. He's been the best.
Yeah, he's arguably the most over person in the entire company right now. Like depending on how you look at it,
Best
which is
especially when his music hits.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Well, and the thing with him too is he's for his limited experience, he's fantastic in the ring. Like, so he can get in there and wrestle too when need be, which is like just that. I mean, that puts you on a whole other level of like possibilities and value with that company. Is like you're gonna have actual payoffs of this stuff. He can start getting in feuds with people from the commentary table, and then have it not just a match like a Michael Cole type match where he goes in there and like barely moves around. Like he goes in there and has real matches with people and does real moves, and like modern moves, like jumping up to the top, leapfrogging to the top rope and backflipping off and stuff. I mean, like so I'm very impressed with Pat McAfee. I think that him, along with, I don't know if this was part of the topics for the show, but him and Logan Paul, I think were both very, very smart for very similar reasons. McAfee doesn't have the same level of like past controversy Logan does, but like both are very, very famous and both are very athletic and both can wrestle and both are going to bring value to the WWE in various ways.
Steven, that's the dream match you didn't know you needed. Logan Paul and Pat McAfee.
I'm all for it. I think they'd be able to pull it off. Honestly, I have no reason to doubt Pat McAfee. I mean, even his first match with Adam Cole, I was like, what? Like this guy's really good, and then he had that War Games match, he did really, really well in that too. And the little we've seen of Logan and knowing that guy's work ethic and stuff, I mean, you don't go box Floyd Mayweather if you're like trying to just like be a part of something. Like you're trying to I think he's going to really want to succeed in the WWE. And I think he's going to take it seriously, and he's still very young too. I mean, like he can have a bright future there, even if it's just part-time. So, yeah, I'll also say this about Pat McAfee, and I you have to hear my full thought before people jump at me on this. Pat McAfee, technically speaking, is one of the worst commentators I've ever heard in my life. but he is perfect for what the WWE needs on commentary. They just need someone like him who just marks out, who's having a good time, who's infectious, who the crowd can get with and listen to and get excited for the show. He's acting like a fan on commentary. Right. And it's why my favorite commentary duo ever in wrestling is Mike Tenay and Don West from TNA, because it was the same kind of thing. Mike Tenay is like the Michael Cole. Mike Tenay knew all the stories, all the background, all the technical stuff. Don West is the Pat McAfee. He was just marking out and having a good time and watching wrestling and being a fan and being exciting. So because like someone like Mauro Ranallo is like, he's both. Like and sometimes he can be a little much. I get that, but like he's kind of like a one-man version of what I'm talking about, where he's marking out but also has the knowledge. So I think that Pat McAfee is perfect for what the WWE needs for their brand. And on top of that, I'm always talking about how the main thing WWE cares about, keep getting little kids to watch the product, keep getting 6-year-olds, 10-year-olds. That's never going to end. You're always going to have a flow of kids coming in and watching the product, and you're going to hope some stick around. UFC and AEW are the two biggest threats to the 18 to 49. Pat McAfee and Logan Paul help bring in 18 to 49 for them. So that's, I think it accomplishes a lot.
It does. It checks both of those boxes very well. According to Wrestling Observer newsletter, it looks like the next premium live event for NXT will be in late August. So that'll be their next Don't Call It Takeover show. Speaking of NXT UK, this is a spoiler for anyone who doesn't want to hear this part. Just pause and then skip a couple of seconds. Ilya Dragunov was forced to relinquish the NXT UK championship due to injury at the taping this week. The exact injury is unknown, but he was wearing a walking boot during his announcement. He held the NXT UK championship for 318 days since beating Gunther at the last NXT takeover 36 last year, and an 8-man tournament began at the tapings to determine a new champion. As he is about to go out and get healthy, another person that's going out of WWE, but it seems like for good, is Paige. She came out with a Players Tribune article. It's hard to say goodbye. Yes, as her contract with WWE expired this week. Definitely Paige left a lot of great memories, but someone who doesn't have a lot of great memories about WWE is Allison Danger. She signed with WWE at the tail end of 2021 and then was basically fired in 2022 in January after she had relocated to Florida. She noted that when being released, she was told it wasn't anything personal against her or her work, but it was definitely a struggle for her with living apart from her family. On top of that, she got COVID during her tryout for WWE. So, and this comes out just days after this interview came out, after days of WWE had a hands-on deck meeting with Stephanie McMahon and Triple H during Money in the Bank weekend, where they said WWE is one big family unless they release you.
Mm-hmm.
Just saying, just putting that out there. In news that will make Romeo happy, Charlotte Flair is ready to come back as possibly soon as SummerSlam at the end of July, according to the Wrestling Observer newsletter. It wasn't a report. Dave also just speculated she could return to interfere in the rematch between Liv Morgan and Ronda Rousey, like we talked about later. And speaking of those woos that Romeo was just doing, Ric Flair's woo was back in the signature for WWE's opener during Monday Night Raw, and Flair was very happy about it, saying that the most hurtful moment in my entire career was losing my spot. Thank you so much for giving me back my dignity and my life at WWE, at Vince McMahon, hashtag WWE Raw. Romeo, was this an instance of Vince being like, oh, Rick didn't do anything bad, look at me?
Wow. I'm done. I can't.
Damn, I didn't look at it like that, but wow, when you phrase it like that, jeez.
That's crazy.
Can't be a hypocrite, Vince.
He ain't do nothing bad. He's like, on a related note, hypocrite.
On a related note, that Ric Flair last match card looks nice.
Yeah. They still haven't announced Rick's opponent yet, though, have they?
Right. No, not yet. So it should be interesting. I said it in the live chat during, I think, NXT or Blunt Impact, that Ric Flair's last match show feels like a late 90s WCW card, Jensen, where everything on the undercard is gonna slap, and then you have the main event that's gonna be some slow old dudes going at it.
Yeah, true. Yeah, you're gonna get a lot of cruiserweight division type action. You'll get like Harlem Heat versus Steiners and like a banger in like the middle of that'll be Motor City Machine Guns versus the Wolves.
The Wolves.
Yeah, like you'll have, I mean, different styles, but you know what I mean. Good tag teams. If I was going to Nashville, which if Cody was wrestling, I would have went. I love Nashville. I used to live there. Broadway is like one of my favorite streets in the world. People are gonna have a great time in Nashville if you're gonna be visiting for it. But with Cody not being on the card for SummerSlam, it's just for me to make the trip out there is like, that's what I would have wanted to see. Like if I was going to be going. Now I think GCW is going to be a lot of fun, and I would have went to that. And I probably would have went to this Ric Flair's last match thing. It's Municipal Auditorium. People can say what they will about Ric Flair. I get it. Trust me. Like I get why the dislike is out there, and I get the fans that have stuck by him. I understand all of it. It's just one of those things where like, I don't want to see the guy go out there and die in the ring or something. I mean, he's in such bad physical shape, and he's got pacemakers, and it's kind of sketchy for him to be doing this to begin with. But it's also one of those things as a fan where like, if I was in town, the rest of the card looks good. And like, to be able to say you got to see Ric Flair do that kind of is something, but it could also go really, really bad, which is also something in a totally different way, which, so I think there's a lot of people torn. The crazy thing is how much of a draw it's been, because they moved from the Nashville Fairgrounds into the Municipal Auditorium, which is bigger. Because I think they're selling tickets to this thing. It sounds like. I mean, and there's people in town for SummerSlam. I mean, there's going to be wrestling fans around. But yeah, it's bizarre that it's 2022 and we're talking about Ric Flair wrestling right now. And here's the thing: this is the thing that sucks about this the most, honestly, is if he literally survives this match, he's going to do it again. Like this isn't the last Ric Flair match.
Oh, absolutely. So, he's on a run of Ric Flair tour. Ric Flair's last tour.
Unbelievable.
That man will be the NWA World Heavyweight Champion one more time before he hangs him up, because he has to get one win above Cena, and then it's going to force them. So he's tied with Cena right now for the title.
Damn.
He's got to get that one more. I honestly think if Matt Cardona wasn't injured, he would have dropped the NWA title to him on this show.
Oh, absolutely. He already said that he would have been on the show if he didn't get hurt. But we got to talk about AEW news. Speaking with Wrestling In, one of your favorites, Miss Krssi, Will Ospreay responded to Kenny Omega's recent comments with Fightful and revealed when their real life beef started. When their real life beef started, he said this whole thing has generated back in 2019. It was Kenny's last match, and I guess he wanted Ibushi out there to second him. I fucking blew Ibushi's brains out with a hidden blade. He's super fucking mad about it. The thing is, I'm mad at myself when those situations happen. I don't want to brain somebody, but it's a legal wrestling move. I'm allowed to do it. I'm allowed to do blows to the back of the head, 12-6 elbows down. This is a 9-3 elbow strike. I'm allowed to do it. Obviously, the repercussion is he got knocked out. It was a bad concussion. Since then, myself and Ibushi, we've gone out for drinks. We don't talk anymore, but after that point, we went for drinks and meals. We're fine. But Kenny is butthurt off an accident. He then went on to say he can think what he wants about me, but the motherfucker is such a little bitch. The same person who was like, I grew up after 6 or 7 5-star matches. No, you didn't, you cunt. You vanity search your name on Twitter to see what everybody says. And when it's bad, you cry in the corner of your million pound house, and you're still bothered by some cunt who sits doing some wrestling matches, who is trying to help out not only the British scene, but the Japanese scene, because I'm not an idiot when it comes to my company. We got hit hard by the pandemic. Does that mean I'm taking a day off? No, I'm working my ass off to bring it back because that's what you said to do. This is the reason I don't like. This is where some people can relate. When you say something to me, look me in the eye and speak to me. When you talk to me and tell me this and then go to the fans and talk different, that's where we have a problem. You have my number. If you have a problem, call me and we can fucking talk about this. I don't have anything to say to him. Be all, end all. I'm sure if everyone was in the same room, I would slap him. So the worst thing is people are going to listen and be like, they're building to something. We're not building up to anything. He's a cunt. I will slap that boy and remind him, you're a fucking 40-year-old man and you're fucking fragile. Do you really want to get with me? I will end you. Krssi, what's your thoughts on those comments from Will Ospreay on Kenny Omega?
Real spicy. I needed more popcorn. You know, you just like, I need to hear all the tea. Like, what's happening? This is juicier than girls. Like, sheesh. All the F-bombs? Wow. I'm like, chill. But he must not have a girl to be like, babe, chill. It ain't that simple. Like, chill. Like, relax. Very spicy though. I'm here for all of it. I'm here for every single last one of it though. For when Omega does come back, you know what's going to happen, especially now that we have these cross brands and this door is open. We can get this match like here and probably over there, but most likely it's going to be here, which will be even better. But yeah, I'm here for all the spiciness. Well, Space, talk your shit. Say it with your chest, son. Love it.
It's so funny how Sean's interview, like because that's where a lot of this stems from, is the stuff that Kenny was saying with Sean, and like I just think it's funny how this has happened, because Kenny tried to make it sound like he was accidentally like going down this like rabbit hole, like dissing Ospreay, but it seemed very calculated. I mean, like he knew what he was doing. Like you don't go on an outlet with, I mean, I know I'm a little bit biased, but in my honest opinion, like the top reporter in all of wrestling media right now, you don't go on a show with him and then like think that like outlets aren't going to pick up on you just dissing this guy. I mean, he tried to frame it as like, no, what I mean is, you know, Jay White kind of took my spot, and Omega or Ospreay just wasn't quite on his level all around and couldn't do it. But then it's like, I don't know, but it's like the way that he said it, and he kept going, like he kept digging himself a little bit more and more. Yeah. And the more he talked about it. And then Ospreay's just coming out, just calling him a cunt over and over, which is, you know, for people who don't know, in his side of the world, that word gets thrown around a lot more than it does in the US.
Yes.
Like Israel Adesanya says it every other word when he's doing promos and stuff. I mean, it's like, it's just, you know, different places, different kind of lingo. But for him to say all that about Kenny, that's some real shots fired.
Yeah.
And that's something that people need to remember too when you make comparisons about these kind of wrestlers. If it's up to me personally, I'd still take Kenny Omega all around over Will Ospreay, but Will Ospreay is still only like 27 or something right now, and
he's 29 now.
29, and it's like, so
he's that young. Damn.
Yeah, well, he's still arguably like not even in his prime yet.
What?
Like,
yeah,
like
oh my God, I feel old.
And he's put so much, muscle on lately and stuff. Like, he's basically he's priming himself for like a whole different next level type of run in his career, it seems like. And that's kind of the thing people need to remember is when you compare these guys, Kenny's more established now for sure. And I love Kenny Omega. I love Will Ospreay. Like, I'm a big fan of both guys. I don't really have a dog in either fight, but it's one of these things where it's like, you also have to remember Ospreay is this good. And if he stays healthy, imagine where he's going to be in a few years. I mean, like, it's insane how good he is at his age. So
sky's the limit for Will Ospreay for sure. But yeah, I don't think they are working. Like, I thought that Kenny's comments was working. And actually, Krssi, it was Kieran who did this interview. The guy we had on before Forbidden Door, he did this interview with Will Ospreay. So yeah, I don't think it's a work anymore by Will.
That was the best part of this interview. Will saying, "Oh, people think this is a work. It's not a work." Like, oh, it makes you think. Like, oh shit. Like, oh,
is it really not a work? Yeah, right.
But it's also like we're living in this world of forbidden doors and like kind of anything is possible. And they could very easily, this could just be a giant work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it has to happen. It has to happen.
I mean, this
provided Kenny Omega comes back healthy.
I absolutely agree. This match will happen.
Yeah. In more AEW news, Colt Cabana is still signed to AEW, but a new report says he was expected to be cut before several roster members spoke up for him. Fightful Select reports there was a bit of an uproar backstage in the company over the notion that Cabana's AEW deal was set not to be renewed as far back as March, something that several roster members said they heard word of several months ago and then fought back against. There were many people who assumed that Cabana's lack of a renewal was due to his issues with CM Punk. However, that changed when the Dark Order got the focus taken off of them, and stablemates Alan Angels and Stu Grayson's did not have their contracts renewed. Cabana is an exceptionally popular figure backstage due to his work in AEW and outside of it, and a lot of roster members expressed their displeasure over the possibility of Cabana being cut, and thus after that he worked ROH Supercard of Honor, and there was a earlier report that we talked about where Cabana was re-signed and he's going to be working a part of the ROH roster. And then in some more Forbidden Door type news, according to Tetsuya Naito, he was not invited to AEW New Japan Pro Wrestling Forbidden Door. As a result, he's refused to watch any footage from the event. He said in his New Japan diary, "Unfortunately, I was not invited to the AEW NJPW show. That is being talked about all over the place. Not invited, not needed, right? Because of that frustration, I haven't watched any footage of the show. I'm genuinely upset about it." Now that's definitely a work. I will say that. That's definitely that. There's no question.
Well said.
Naito's working.
I'm too distracted by how go back. If you go back to that picture, like his hat's not even on.
Good catch. Good catch. Yeah, it's not. It's not. He puts it on so lately.
Shit would blow off immediately. Any little bit of wind, that's just blowing off.
I'll tell you what, man. I really want to see Naito and Orange Cassidy in a match.
Yeah, same.
Oh, that would be great.
I would love
that.
That
would be great. That'd be great. Two masters of not giving a fuck. Rev Pro has announced that AEW All-Atlantic champion Pac will defend the title against Shota Umino on July 10th, tomorrow in Sheffield. If he retains, Pac will defend the title against LJ Cleary for OTT Wrestling on July 22nd. And the match with Shota Umino is going to air on this week's AEW Dark. So some good news there, but not so good news on the injury front, as Tony Khan revealed on Busted Open Radio that Santana suffered a knee injury during last last week's Blood and Guts match. He confirmed it, and it appeared like he did do that on a Uranagi during the matchup, and he's not expected to return to action anytime soon. As far as Adam Cole, suffering from a torn labrum, Dave Meltzer wrote and said on Wrestling Observer Radio, Adam Cole is going to be out for a while. Punk, I don't know when the time frame is. I think they're not trying to let you know, but I'm pretty sure he'll be back. Surgery for a broken foot, it's a couple of months, but it's not like it's 6 months, so he probably won't be that long. And as far as Bryan Danielson, there's a lot of concern outside of AEW in regards to him, as now he's been out over a month after suffering a concussion. Of course, Danielson famously was forced to early retirement in 2016 before he returning in 2018, and has a history of head injuries. And Meltzer noted as a reason for being very concerned with Danielson's current condition. So hopefully Bryan Danielson returns soon, but it's not anything good that he's been out this long.
I don't know. I got a different take. I
What
think it's time to hang it up. I think it's time to hang it up for Bryan Danielson. He gave us a great second win, second life, second run. I'm very concerned.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you. When it comes to concussions, those are serious. And the fact that he was out as long as he was due to that, it's not something to play around with. Fifth generation
laying around. Okay, hold on. So you're basically it's like you put it on and it was like there. It's like a balancing act. Is this cool? Okay.
Is that your Be the Miz? Is that your Be the Miz hat?
Yeah, my Miz hat from. Yeah, no, it's like put it on and then like balance on the top of my nose. There you go.
Very impressive.
Very impressive.
I can do something where like I look through just one of the. Anyways,
I think you may have come up with something new.
Did y'all ever see the Key and Peele sketch where it's like the guys keep one-upping each other's hats? It's the first guy walks up with like all the tags on it, and then like the next week the other guy has like the bag still around the hat, like balancing on his head. And it just like escalates from there. Yeah, that just reminded me of that for some reason.
I love it. New Japan News, they had a press conference to announce some major changes or major announcements in the company. They announced that they're going to have their first show that allows cheers from the fans for the first time in 2 years since 2020, when in the beginning of the pandemic. They're going to have these shows in September. Fans will be able to cheer at 2 shows at Kurgan Hall on September 5th and 6th. It seems it won't be every fan that will be allowed to do so. The shows will be held half capacity, meaning only 1,000 people will be able to watch the shows, but the shows will have dedicated cheering sections. So they'll have a Bullet Club cheering section, a Chaos cheering section, an LIJ cheering section. I think this is the most unique way to allow cheering that I've ever heard.
Yeah.
It sounds crazy, but I think it might work. And then Wrestling Observer newsletter reports that New Japan is indeed planning a show in the fall at Hammerstein Ballroom on either October 22nd or 29th in New York City. And then Jon Moxley is set to hit the ring at New Japan Pro Wrestling Music City Mayhem later this month. He's going to go one-on-one with El Desperado in a no limit, no disqualification match during StarCast weekend. So that SummerSlam weekend, man, Moxley's got Blake Christian for the GCW World Championship and El Desperado. So he's going to be a busy man for sure. And then Impact Wrestling, speaking of New Japan, they announced that New Japan star Kushida will be debuting for the company this week on Friday, July 15th and July 16th in Louisville, Kentucky. So very happy to see that. And then other wrestling news, those are final ones. They announced this week that on Thursday that FTR will defend the ROH World Tag Team titles against the Briscoes in a rematch with Supercard of Honor at Death Before Dishonor pay-per-view on July 23rd. And after only selling 350 tickets for a 10,000 seat arena in Nottingham, England, the Wrestling Entertainment Series West Promotion announced that their debut show scheduled for July 9th, which was today, has been canceled due to talent pulling out from the event. Sean Rossap of Fightful and announced that there was a lot of fallout from the talent in regards to that. A lot of talent were either paid, but some in the UK talent were not paid for this show. Nia Jax responded to being unceremoniously name dropped in the cancellation mention by putting a picture about being worth 1,000 words, tweeting a shopped image of The Simpsons still featuring the West logo under the banner, reading a fire festival in reference to the infamous disaster event from 2017.
Damn.
So
just like I'm just picturing Nia Jax like tweeting out just like a picture of like bread and cheese as like that was like like when Fire Fest was going on. I remember social media blowing up because it was like, oh, the 5-star cuisine here at Fire Fest was just literally bread and cheese with like the tomato like off to the side. It was like, oh man. Oh, that was one of the funniest things that's ever happened. I felt bad, but the Firefest is also one of those situations where it kind of makes you feel good because those are like the elitists of the elitists going out and like thinking they're better than everybody and going out to this exclusive celebrity filled, paradise that no one else has access to, and then they show up and it's just a bunch of white tents on a beach and they're like, it's a survival situation. Oh, good stuff.
They're like, what the fuck? But we're gonna end off the show, and we want to hear from you in the live chat. Last call for super chat donations, as we're each gonna give our top 5 matches of the first half of 2022. We hit July, so 6 months of the year are already in the books. There's been so many great matches, whether it be from WWE, AEW, New Japan Pro Wrestling, GCW, ROH, Impact Wrestling, all across the board. And we want to hear from everyone in the live chat. Give us your picks for the best matches of 2022 so far. We will start with ladies first. Miss Krssi Luv, what was your top 5 matches of the first half of 2022?
Okay, so 5, I have to start. I'll give it to the women. I'm going to give it to Becky and Bianca for WrestleMania. I'll give them that match. That was great. That was a banger for them. Then number 4, I am going to do AEW's Aleister Black, House of Black versus who did
Death Triangle?
Death Triangle, yes, absolutely. Great. I mean, awesome match. Should be number 1, but I got others in front of it. Number 3, I would have to do Ospreay and Orange Cassidy.
Love that match. That's probably my if we were just doing favorite matches, that would be like number 1 on my list because I love that match.
That was a good one. Same night as House of Black. That was the same night. Number, what am I at? 2 now? Mm-hmm. 2 would have to go to I would say Serena Deebs and Thunder Rosa for their grid match that they did. The buildup was trash, but the match was excellent. And then my number 1 has to be Cody and Seth Rollins. Hell in a Cell. Yes, sir. That is my top 5 for this year so far. So I had 2 women's matches in there. Thank you, guys.
I'm sorry, Krssi. What was your number 2 again, Krssi?
Number 2 was damn it, I just said it. Shit.
Deeb and Thunder.
Deeb and Thunder. Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Deeb and Thunder from Double or Nothing.
So I had Bianca.
So you had 2 matches
Becky.
from Double or Nothing. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. I had Bianca, Becky, House of Black versus
Death Triangle.
Death Triangle. That was number 4. Number 3 was
Ospreay and Orange
Cassidy.
Yep. And then number 2 was Serena Deebs and Thunder Rosa. And my number 1 is Cody and Seth from Hell in a Cell. Great storytelling. Awesome. Even though he almost had no arm. But yeah. There you go.
And Cody got his wish. He was black for one night.
You know
Stephen Jensen.
I'm
Hey, look at me. I'm representing. Great liberator of African American talent. Stephen Jensen, your top 5 matches so far of 2022.
Okay, so I've got a top 5. I also have some. I have 5 honorable mentions that I can do after everyone gets theirs.
This was a hard list to put together, right? You had those on.
It was.
You didn't want to leave them out.
And I didn't know until I was like in bed last night. So this is off the top of the head as well. I couldn't get super into a lot of the indie stuff that I would have because I would have had to really like dig into that. So I went with kind of what first came to mind for me. And this is a mixture between like great match and favorite match for me. Like there's a mix there of how I rank these. So, and I'm really bad about remembering names of pay-per-views and stuff. So like SP3, I know you got me covered up there. Number 5, FTR and Briscoes from Supercard of Honor.
Oh, yeah, that was a good one. Dang, yep. That was a good
number
one.
4.
Wants to redo a list.
No, I don't. I'm not. I'm gonna keep it. No, that's why you guys got your list. But no, that was a good one. That's an honorable mention for me. How about that?
Number 4, I've got Kingston and Jericho. Their first match. I can't remember what show it was at.
Revolution,
where Kingston tapped him with the stretch plum. And that's also a part of that is because of how much it has spawned, like this whole story and blood and guts and this upcoming barbed wire death match and stuff. So I had this great storytelling, and I think they were also the first match of the pay-per-view also, and the crowd was like super hot. So yeah, I got Kingston and Jericho as number 4. Number 3, I'm with Krssi. Same number 3, Will Ospreay versus Orange Cassidy, Forbidden Door. Love that match. Great stylistic clash that worked really well.
Yes.
Number 2, this was real tough to choose between number 2 and number 1. Number 2, I went CM Punk MJF dog collar match.
Oh, that was dang,
top tier storytelling in my opinion.
Yeah,
with like
you're right.
The whole story building into it, CM Punk coming out with the throwback entrance, and I mean that was sick. Number 1, I'm also with you, Krssi. Seth Rollins, Cody Rhodes, WWE Hell in a Cell. I mean, I'm a Cody mark. This match was great. I mean, this and it really, and like with the injury, it just
right.
And you can tell how much Cody cares about the position he's in with the WWE, and he wants that world title so bad that he's willing to put himself through that before going into surgery, knowing that like that's the last impression, and there's no way he's going to be denied when he comes back. Like, I thought that was incredible stuff. So once again, number 5, FTR versus Briscoes. Number 4, Kingston versus Jericho. 3, Ospreay versus Orange Cassidy. 2, CM Punk versus MJF. Dog collar match. And 1, Cody versus Seth Rollins Hell in a Cell.
That is a great list, friend. So very good.
Y'all are consistent on 2 things. You had 2 AEW pay-per-views in your top 5, and you both had Cody and Seth 3 at number 1. Romeo, your list.
I too also had 5 honorable mentions putting this together. I came up with too many. My honorable mentions are Ospreay and Nick Wayne, GCW. Cody and Seth Rollins won WrestleMania.
Yes.
Punk and MJF. Becky Bianca and Ospreay Cassidy. Now, my top 5. Number 5.
Oh, your honorable mention. Sorry, okay.
Yeah, that was just my honorable mention. My top 5 now. Number 5, Okada and Ospreay from Wrestle Kingdom. Number 4, Young Bucks FTR 2. Number 3, Paige and Danielson from that Dynamite.
Oh,
and
wow.
Number 2, Briscoes FTR. And number 1, Cody Seth Hell in a Cell.
Yep.
Everybody's consistently number 1 has the same thing. Great.
It is WWE, which is wild. Yeah.
Right.
I'm gonna be the different one. That is not even in my top 5.
Wow.
What a fucking hater.
It's in my honorable mentions. It's in my honorable mentions.
I'm happy that you said that because he is definitely a hater.
I know the whole story I know the whole story about him antagonizing Cody before the story that he always tells, and I know it's whatever. Okay, yeah.
Cody?
Okay, no, all right.
He acts like he's so innocent.
Oh
my God, how did I
was discriminated against, ladies and gentlemen. I was discriminated against, and I'm not going to allow that.
You don't need to go into it. Okay, what's your top 5 SP3? And then I'll give you my honorable mentions after.
Yeah. I'll give my honorable mentions first. I have two 5-star matches in my honorable mentions, and not every match that I'm putting in my top 5 is a 5-star match, but I have 2 that's in my honorable mentions. The 2 that 5-star matches that are in my honorable mentions is Zack Sabre Jr. versus Shingo from New Japan Cup as well as Zack Sabre Jr. versus Will Ospreay from the New Japan Cup. Great matches. Like I said, Cody, Seth 3, Hell in a Cell, 4 3/4. Definitely a great matchup, a match of the year candidate, but just not in my personal.
At least it's an honorable mention. At least
it's an honorable mention. It's an honorable mention. Should be okay with that. My fourth honorable mention, I went with Hangman versus Bryan from Dynamite, and then I went with Blood and Guts. My fifth honorable mention. Now my top five. Number 5, Ospreay Orange from Forbidden Door, probably my favorite match of the year. That was just amazing. Number 4, MJF versus CM Punk from Revolution. Love that match every single way. Number 3, I went with Becky versus Bianca from WrestleMania. I really enjoyed that matchup. It definitely surprised me, and I didn't even have that 5 stars or 4 3/4. It's 4.5 stars, but I really love that match, so I had to put it in there. Number 2, Ospreay versus Okada, Wrestle Kingdom. I thought that if this had the fans cheering, this would be unquestionably
that's
number
the only reason
1.
I had it 5. Yeah,
and then number 1, FTR versus Briscoe, Supercard of Honor. I don't think I've ever loved a tag team match as much as I love that matchup. Two of my two teams. That was the match that made me go, FTR, you're the best tag team in the world, for about a month until the Young Bucks took it back. But yeah,
it's funny. It's funny you said you've never loved a tag team match until Death Before Dishonor, until they do it again.
Exactly. Until they do it again, or until we get FTR versus Young Bucks 3. Probably that'll be
FTR's trying to have all the top 5 tag matches of the year, all the matches of the year.
Absolutely. Jensen, what's your honorable mentions?
Okay, so one of them was Hangman and Danielson won from Rampage, the draw. That's on there. And I tried
that was actually last year. That was Winter is Coming. The Waller jar.
You have to go with the second one.
Oh yeah, the second one was when Hangman won in 30 minutes or so.
Yeah.
That was still
when they were both bloody.
I'd still have it on there. Hangman Danielson. Yeah. I'm good with that as an honorable.
Yeah, it's the same. It's like just as good a match in half the time.
Yeah, exactly. I forgot how long ago that first one happened. That's wild. I've got Young Bucks Lucha Brothers from Rampage. That was this year, wasn't it?
Oh yeah.
So
yep.
I remember that one being really good. I love the Young Bucks. I had to get them on here somewhere. I could do a whole top 5 on probably just the Young Bucks if I thought about it enough, because they're my favorite tag team in the world. I love watching those guys.
Same.
I had an honorable mention of Cody and Sammy Guevara at the beginning of the year, the ladder match.
Yeah, that was great.
That was really good.
It's hard to remember that Cody Rhodes was in AEW this year.
Yeah, it's wild because he still has AEW figures coming out, and the Mattel ones will start coming out for WWE soon. So he's about to be the only wrestler who, on the pegs, when you go to Walmart and Target, he's gonna have AEW and WWE figures at the same time.
And will be in both video games.
He will be in both video games too. I think, by the way, I think that's cool as hell that AEW is they're hey, we're not gonna just pretend like this guy didn't exist and that he didn't mean a lot to our company just because he went somewhere else. We're not going to just forget about the guy, which I think is really cool. One that this is a personal one, and I thought the match was great too. It was AC Mack defeating Alex Shelley to win the to win the IWTV Championship, and it was on an Action Wrestling show out of Georgia, and it was AC Mack. He won the match itself was fantastic, and he cut this promo afterwards as well. And he's the first openly gay world champion in wrestling history. So it was there was a lot, there was just a lot of emotion and stuff behind it. And the fans in the live crowd really wanted it to happen. And they gave him what they wanted. And I just thought it was a really great moment and a great match. And then one that people probably wouldn't expect me to put on here because I just watch so little WWE nowadays, especially if it's outside of pay-per-view. I went out of my way this year one time to watch one match off of WWE SmackDown because I heard it was really good and I loved it. It was Roman Reigns versus Riddle from SmackDown recently. I thought that was a really, really good one. And it also put Riddle on another level in the WWE's perception. So,
and you wonder why they put that on a pay-per-view.
Right. They should have. That would have been that definitely would have been like a WWE match of the year candidate. We do have a super chat donation here from our good brother Chase Oliver. Thank you so much for that. Giving us his top 5. He says Cody versus Seth, Hell in a Cell, Bianca versus Becky, Orange Cassidy versus Ospreay, FTR versus Briscoes, Okada versus Shingo. So very good. All of those matches are among mine as well. So good.
The Usos versus the Street Profits from Money in the Bank was a good one too.
Yeah, like I was telling Jensen that on live rounds. I was like, I love that match. That's in my top 5. If I was just doing a WWE top 5, that
definitely that has to be in the top 5 for sure. Absolutely.
And also, just because I didn't have any women on there, shout out, like, I'm a huge Serena Deeb fan, so like, I really hope she wins the ROH Women's Championship.
Same, yeah.
I love her. I love Thunder Rosa, and I love Charlotte Flair. I'm with Romeo. Like, I'm a big Charlotte fan as well. So like, and I really like what I'm seeing out of Bianca Belair. I'm just fearful that they don't have enough there at the moment, like top star wise, to like. She needs bigger opponents to keep this going. I feel like when it's down to
WrestleMania match they haven't done yet.
Yeah, Bianca and Charlotte. Yeah, no, I like the idea of that a lot. I'm just saying, like, when I watched this past pay-per-view and I'm like, Carmella, like, that's really like, how is there, like, there needs to be like, and that's when it hurts so bad when like a Naomi and a Sasha are bouncing out. Like Charlotte's on the out right now with injury, and it's like they have great women's roster, but like it's just one of those things where it just kind of disappointed me, where I was like, damn. Like, I want to see Bianca in like bangers. Like, she's proven herself.
Yeah,
she could be a big deal going forward for them. I really believe that. So, but yeah,
I had to put in a women's match, and that's been the best one so far for me. And Bianca at WrestleMania. That's been the best one. But that brings us to a close on another edition of True Heel Heat. We went a little bit longer because Vince McMahon had to make a mess of the wrestling news. But Jensen, thank you so much for joining us this week. We really appreciate it. You are one of our favorite guests of the show. Please let the people know everything you got going on and where they can find you, good brother.
So thank you all for having me on. Good to see you again, Krssi. Good to see you, Romeo.
Nice to see you as well.
It's good to see you, SP3, as always. Good to be around good people, talk some wrestling. I appreciate you having me on. I'm looking forward to today. It's Saturday. It's the weekend. I'm about to go in about an hour. Me and my brother are meeting my dad at a little diner over here and getting some food together. And then I'm going to watch some UFC and allegedly, hypothetically, maybe win a little bit of money because I live in the state of Georgia and like I can't sports bet. But I love Saturdays because I love the UFC and I love knowing that there's all the time. So I hope everyone has a happy weekend. The next time y'all will hear me is tomorrow. I'll be doing the Fightful Select Weekender podcast. It's every Sunday on FightfulSelect.com, covering the world of independent wrestling and just some various other stuff as well. Every Tuesday, live rounds with myself and Doug. That is on the RVD Tito for Life channel on YouTube. That's RVD TITO, the number 4 LAFE. And you can catch me every Thursday at 9:30 a.m. Eastern on YouTube.com/Fightful. Myself and Jeremy Lambert host the Spotlight, covering a variety of stuff in the world of wrestling as well. And I normally do the Impact post shows too at Denise Salcedo when there is an Impact pay-per-view. So that's usually like once a month, twice a month, depending on what pay-per-views and premium shows they have going on. So you can follow me on Twitter at FightTalk_. That's where I keep everything updated. And hope you guys enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Yes, thank you much for joining us, Jensen. And Miss Krssi Luv, where can the people find you?
Yes, you can find me every Saturday here with my good brothers do our flagship show, which is True Heel Heat. Other than that, every Sunday we will be back for another episode of Serving Face with Hill with my tag team partner Stephanie Hype. So check us out tomorrow at 11:05. And then I do SE Scoops with Steve Falls on Fridays when we do Going in Blue, where we review SmackDown, unfortunately. Other than that, you can find me on IG, Twitter, and on Facebook. My handle is right there. And on Twitter, it is True Hill Krssi Luv. And yeah, I use some roundtables and lots of watch-alongs, because we have the best ones. So yeah.
And check out the Money in the Bank roundtable review. Krssi Luv holding it down with Ness. Y'all did a great job.
Yes.
Want to thank you
you
for filling in for my usual seat and Romeo's usual seat. But Romeo, where can the people find you on this channel 24 hours a day, 7 days a week?
That's a fact.
Follow me. True Heel Romeo, Twitter and Instagram, right here on the True Heel Heat YouTube channel. Raw watch alongs, NXT watch alongs, Dynamite watch alongs, Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and also subscribe to THH Sports. We're going to be dropping videos as soon as tomorrow, live stream tomorrow. SB3, Chris, and a couple of others of us talking basketball. And me and Stat King will drop a video on football. And just subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. We're getting off and running starting tomorrow.
Fast.
Absolutely. Getting the stuff started over there on THH Sports. You can follow me on the Twitter machine at True Heel SP3. All my contact and information there. I won't list everything I'm doing. You can find it at True Heel SP3. Follow the gang Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at True Heel Heat. Become an even bigger supporter of True Heel Heat. Patreon.com/True Heel Heat. Check out last week's THH 182 post show with me and Harlem, and we'll be doing another one for True Hill 183 as Harlem tries to talk about wrestling at 2 years old. Everyone loves it. You should check it out. That's a whole reason to become a patreon.com True Hill Heat supporter and our True Hill Heat prediction championship, and prowrestlingtees.com/True Heels. We got some new merch in the running coming out. We got a Southern Face and Heel shirt about to drop, possibly. We got True Rewind shirt about to drop. So there's a lot going on over there as well. But that is all for True Heel Heat 183 for Stephen Jensen. Thank you so much for joining us. For Miss Krssi, for Romeo, it is me, your True Heel Phenom, SP3. This has been True Heel Heat 183, Hush Pack Mountain.